And we are live. Welcome to the
Live.
RedBlue Pod90. I just see Gray, and I feel like he has something to say.
Oh no, I was just trying to, back you up when you're like, "We are live." I just want to go live. Yeah, echo you, be a hype man, if you will. I've got some caffeine now. I'm feeling the hype. Let's do this. It's Super
That's
Tuesday.
amazing. So I guess you're doing great, right?
Sure.
Sure. What about you, Cole? How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing terrible.
Okay. That's sad. What
Yeah.
happened?
The Halo show took my wife and kids from me.
Sorry to hear that.
That will be clipped. You know that. Oh my, with me blurry, just laughing in the background. Uh you watched Halo or you just stopped watching after 2 episodes?
Yeah, I stopped watching, and yeah, again, your camera is like a Zack Snyder film. It's like watching Army of the Dead with how blurry it is.
Wow.
It's no slow mo though. Like, if you really want to Snyder it up, get some slow mo. There we go. That's very Snyder right there.
In the editing room, I will leave it like 0.5 so it's even more slow-mo. People will be
I think he'd
nuts,
like that.
guys. Hell
It works
yeah.
in spirit.
Hell yeah. So today we got a lot of topic going on. Portings, movie everyone thought I would hate, and I actually enjoyed it. We will cover probably one of the worst movie DC has seen called Avenger. Yeah. We will cover a TV show as well that started off great. I don't know about season two. I started season two, but we'll see. And we will talk about the masterpiece called Halo. So much like amazing topics, you know. Um, yeah, I guess we can start with the one and only the Avengers 2012 2012 whatever that movie. Um, and like DC has a lot to say because he wasn't able to make it work this week, so he sent me his notes, and I shared said notes to the chat, well, the private chat, and we will read it by blocks, and I will start with the first block. The Avenger 2012, the horrible start for the group we know as Earth's laziest heroes. The comedy fell flat on every shore. The rivalry between Hulk and Thor is ridiculous. And that was the first block of DC thoughts on it. Great. Read out the
Yeah.
second block.
Continuing DC's thoughts, Loki unfortunately is a terrible antagonist. Plus, the fact that they had Black Widow, a character we have no idea what she's capable in terms of interrogating, trick Loki is horrible writing. Nick Fury
Gaming.
gaining the idea of creating the Avengers, well, makes sense mostly. Honestly, makes the latter battle look stupider. When people criticizing Man of Steel for having destruction scenes, this film's final battle doesn't get brought up. The Avengers pretty much let a lot of people die and had no remorse.
I mean, I don't know
Fair
about that.
point.
Like the destruction scenes, they did show. Like again, it's been a little while since I've seen it, but they did show a couple moments where they were protecting people while doing that stuff, and it wasn't the same level of destruction at all. Like in Man of Steel, they were
And
like
that is
just
kind of the
getting
justification for
buildings.
the horrible restrictions and Civil War coming up. Like, I don't know, it is referenced both in canon and then when people talk about this film, they talk about the destruction of New
Yeah,
York in
and
this.
yes, and the
I
destruction
kind of
is just
disagree with them
nowhere
there.
near though. Like at all, it's nowhere near. And
And on top of that, we compare like the Avengers and Superman, and like Superman, like he has the power to lift up his opponent and like fly away, and like that was basically like let's eyeball it. That was like four Kryptonian having a fight because I remember Zod having like sidekicks. But here with Avenger, we got like an army. So how can you deal with an army when like your top guy is probably Hulk and like Iron Man or maybe Thor actually? So that's like we got like three heavy
Yeah.
hitter, but they're not Superman like, you know, like they
Yes, and it's just
only
the
Iron Man and Thor
execution of it
fly.
as well. It's just the execution, and yeah, in Man of Steel, there was like no intention there to actually like do anything like that with the Avengers. There was like at many moments. I don't, but okay, whatever, fair enough.
Um,
Yeah, and we're only about halfway through. Sorry for derailing us on DC's review. We're only about halfway through. So I guess I'll read one more paragraph and then we'll be done. Or sorry, then I'll be done with my part. The stupid argument between Captain America and Iron Man led to arguably the most toxic and dumbest relationship in the whole MCU, on par with Iron Man and Spider-Man. Okay, so I guess that would be second dumbest in his opinion. Hawkeye as a villain, while sort of accurate to the comics, as him and Black Widow are both Iron Man villains, fell flat as he was introduced in Thor, and we know nothing of him before the film. There were far too many plot conveniences. Like, I know who likes plot conveniences. That's Multi. You
oh
want to take
yeah.
over, sir?
Yeah, like
Cole,
yeah,
go for it.
like Iron Man knowing where Cap is, as well as Thor knowing Loki has been captured, as well as how do you pronounce it? Chitauri, as I say it.
Terry.
Yeah, Chitauri. Okay, trusting on Loki. Plus, this film has horrible setup for Infinity War and Endgame with Thanos. What? Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
that was the
Anyway,
end credit scene. Maybe
yeah,
I can't
I know.
remember to be
Hulk
honest.
was horrible in the film as he was just used as a plot device for conflict. Okay, that is like the first thing I'll actually agree with here. But however, that is not an issue with the Avengers. If anything, they did it a bit better because there was at least one scene like that we don't get in any other real MCU film. It's a issue which is the whole MCU and the Hulk character, and because of legal issues, Thor is a moron for taking Loki out of the ship the Avengers got him in. And that forest battle was stupider than Peter Griffin from Family Guy. I'd give this film I won't say the rating yet, but
Yeah, not yet.
I
That will be
mean,
priceless once we get there. But
I mean, I
man,
don't know how that was. I mean, yeah, it was moronic, but that is like the Thor character in a nutshell, and especially with his relationship with Loki. So, I mean, I thought it was accurate. I don't know. There's the Captain America and Iron Man stuff. There were a couple dumb moments, but for the most part, I liked it, and then I liked it in the other films afterwards, like Civil War. Like I don't know.
I'm with you, Cole. I guess he just didn't like that movie. Um,
Yeah,
so now we will let Gray go first on Avengers.
Okay. So Avengers is an interesting film. It was kind of our first superhero team up one that we actually got. They teased it with like 3 prior films. Um, it's interesting. I forgot a lot of what happened. I kind of forgot the whole Loki turning Hawkeye, and now I can't remember Skarsgård's character's
Asgardian.
name. Yeah,
Oh,
but turning both of them, like evil, or turning them with the power of the Mind Stone, which is in Loki's staff. Um, Fair enough. I kind of forgot that aspect of it. I just kind of remembered the end when they're battling in New York. Um, it's not horrible. I think there's definitely a whole bunch of aspects that could have led to a better version of this. So I kind of remember with DC where it felt like they really rushed it to where they got to the Justice League. Um, I remembered the Avengers being a little bit, you would at least introduce the characters a little bit more. I totally did forget, and DC brought it up. It's not a bad thing that we don't really know Clint, and we don't really know, now I can't even remember Scarlett Johansson's character's name. But yeah, we don't really know Black Widow or Hawkeye that well. Natasha Romanoff. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. But he's right. Like they really could have gotten their own intro films. Like we do know him a little bit from Thor, and then I think this is kind of a fun introduction. No, she was in that one Iron Man movie for just a minute, Scarlett Johansson. But this was kind of a fun introduction to the character. I did remember the interrogation scene where, she does some kind of interesting stunt work while still talking on the phone and kicking ass. It kind of makes sense. It makes her seem like a formidable, a force to reckon with, if you will. It seems like she's definitely got skills and is playing on a different field than these other guys. So I don't know. It has aspects of it that I really like, but at the same time, not everything works for me. I do think some of the jokes do fall flat. I know it's kind of Joss Whedon's thing. I feel a lot of Joss Whedon in this one, where like with Iron Man, I feel like, well, I guess they really did it with a lot of the previous ones, because Kenneth Branagh also did Thor. There was kind of a lot of personality that was put into those ones. I guess this isn't that big of a departure to kind of get a lot of Joss Whedon put into this. But I don't know. He's not my favorite director, and I feel like he puts a certain feeling and a certain type of dialogue into his flicks. It's not necessarily for me, but that being said, there's a lot of good in this. I did like a lot of the effects back in the day. Watching the battle at the end, it doesn't necessarily hold up as much as I wanted it to. I did kind of forget just how ruthless they were, where they're basically just firing two nukes right at downtown New York with very little information at the end. There's some really kind of disturbing things that I kind of forgot about in this that I noticed again on rewatch. I think it sets it up pretty well for where it goes from here, but overall, it's not my favorite flick. I guess it does have the Avengers Assemble, score in it, but I'm trying to remember like anything major that stands out with the score, and there's not that much for me. Yeah, it just seems like a kind of a decent popcorn flick. I would dig it if Marvel went back to this quality, but I think they hit a much better note going forward in a little bit. And this one is just kind of, it falls a little flat for me. But it was good for the time. I don't know if it quite holds up when I just rewatched it. But yeah, I guess those are kind of my thoughts on it.
Well, I feel you, man. This is funny how I enjoyed it a lot. Like, just in terms of entertainment and enjoyment, that's probably my favorite superhero movie we covered so far. Maybe on par with Iron Man, or like, yeah, that's a peak entertainment for me, but there are just too many issues for me to defend this movie and to say it's a good movie, because it's not. Um, Now I will start with my rant. My first issue would be I did let a few can't aim slide, since Loki said that our guy was a good guy. So maybe he didn't want to delete Fury inside. However, when both cars faced each other in the chase, I rolled my eyes, since the girl and our guy traded shots without hitting each other. And they were like, pew, 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 face to face, pew, 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 pew. It's like, bro, it's just flashy stuff. Like, no bullet hit anybody, it was insulting, man. It's like, turn off your brain, don't think. It's just gunplay, I guess. Maybe. Next up would be telling instead of showing um Black Widow and our guy meeting each other. So maybe they wanted to keep that for a movie, but let's be honest, we never really have seen that. Like, I don't know how much of their relationship was explored in Black Widow, because I haven't seen Black Widow, but man, you mentioned Budapest, but you just don't give proper context. You just mention it like, look, Easter egg. I don't like that. Um, Next up would be Bruce telling he wanted to off himself instead of showing us like the scene where he tried to boom.
You want it to be that type of movie where you just see the Hulk continually try to kill himself, but he can't because he's hulking out. I don't know that they can show that and keep the ratings, sir.
Maybe not 20 times, but like at least once, or like close the screen like.
I don't think that's what they mean by show don't tell, but okay. You're right. They didn't show it.
Next up would be cannot aim. Steve and the father enemy traded shot without hitting each other. That's later on in the movie. Oh, another can't aim. Great. Next up would be plot armor on Stark. He got thrown through a window, yet he didn't get injured whatsoever. That's like right after he met Loki by the end. Next up would be um speedster can't aim. So the people on the bikes, they just cannot aim, guys. It's like terrible. Enemies could not aim at Hawkeye again. It's like they miss and purposely survive. That's all it felt. So many cannot aim for real. We can make a compilation there. So yeah, outside of my rant, I like the action. Like even if it was dumb action, you mentioned it. It's a popcorn flick. You just watch it and like turn off your brain. I enjoyed the music. Loki was entertaining, and the Avengers fighting each other before coming together was interesting. I like that a lot. Um, I think Iron Man was the best part of this movie. Thor was entertaining, but Iron Man is the guy that carried the entire thing for me on his shoulders. And they were really smart on how they framed um, Captain and Tony being very different as characters. You can already see a rift between them, and that rift will only get worse. I don't know what's going on with me tonight. I'm just dead tired. But that rift
Coffee,
will
man. Caffeine. It helps.
that rift will only become bigger. Um, yeah, I don't have much more to say. I don't know what's up with Cole. Maybe he had a power outage. So I guess um we are good to share our grade out of 10. I'm wondering what's going on with Cole. Uh yeah, what would be your grade out of 10, Dre?
You know, I don't think it's a horrible film, but I don't think it's a great film. It has a lot more kind of plot holes and I don't know, inconsistent effects than I remembered. That being said, I don't think it's a horrible film. I'm not sure if I'm trying to offset the score that DC gave it, but I think I'd give it like a 7. Like it's mediocre. It's a good popcorn flick. I liked it more than a lot of the kind of big action films that have come out recently. But that being said, there's so many ways that this could have been better, and I just wish they'd gone a little bit stronger with it. So I think for me, it's a 7.
Okay. When it comes to me, it's a 6.5 out of 10. But again, if we just speak about entertainment and enjoyment, I would give this movie a 12. Like, I like this movie so much
12
more
out of 10.
and my enjoyment.
Okay.
But like as a critique and as someone that clearly sees the flaws in the movie, I think that movie is worth a 6.5. Because there's a lot of stupid things that happened. Now you had a comment backstage about the rent we covered. The
I
dislikes.
don't remember it. Do you? Yeah, I'm sorry. I could switch roles. I could read his score if you remember it at all. It totally escapes me. Like I'm just, it's not there in my mind anymore. But
Okay,
I thought
well,
I thought
go for
DC
it.
gave it a little bit worse than I don't know. He gave it a 1.5 out of 10, which is it seems a little harsh. I got to be honest. 1.5 out of 10.
That sounds like a multi take here.
I do
Ah,
remember giving a crap about that now. I'm sorry. My mind just went blank. Like, I don't know. That feels like forever ago, and it was about 20 minutes ago, according to the clock up there. So I don't know. Yeah. I can't blame you. I got the caffeine. I don't know. My mind just went away. Um, but yeah, 1.5. I got a feeling that Cole wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I gotta think he liked it more than 1.5. So maybe we could average it out a little bit higher than that. Because between yours and mine, I think that would like average this out at like 3 point something, which is not great.
with Cole, that would be a average 2 or something. Um,
Oof.
maybe, I don't know. Maybe he likes it more than us. I don't know. It's a bit sad that Cole is away. Maybe he had a power outage or something. Uh, so we are in between topics right now. So I will bring something up. Yesterday I spent after the stream 3 hours collecting footage from the entire season we did so far. Uh,
Wow.
so I watched a lot of our episode in like 1.5 speed and 2 speed to like really collect what I really wanted to collect. And first thing I did when I arrived from work is the same thing with season 3. But with season 3 I didn't have time to finish yet because um I only spent an hour on it today, but I'm collecting footage. I'm collecting,
Man.
man. Uh, that
That's
compilation will be massive. Um, so
well,
I
that
don't
could be
know.
fun, or it could be scary. I'm not quite sure.
I don't know yet how I will name it. Maybe it will be like Red Blue compilation. Let's roast MTT and DC because there's a lot of moment where we get roast because of our takes. Or maybe best moment of the Red Blue. Maybe that's better, but that's not as funny. I don't know. We will see. Uh, Big compilation in the making. Um, I'm excited to present it and to have all of the footage so I can trim it down and have a decent product in 1.5 speed. And I gotta say, 1.5 speed is hilarious because we can still understand everyone pretty well. It's just faster. So that's fascinating.
Yeah,
That's
I rarely listen to anything in regular time. Yeah, sadly, I wish that I could put this in 2 times speed, but 1.5 would be great. I'd settle for that.
yeah. So I guess we move on to the next topic, which is The Walking Dead, and it's The Walking Dead first season. So based on what you remember, Um, what was your experience with The Walking Dead?
So I really liked the comic. I got into, I'm trying to remember how far I got before the show actually came out. I know I wasn't completely caught up or anything like that, but I was pretty hyped for when the show was announced that it was coming out, and I was really excited for it. I remember watching like that first episode when it aired. Um, I remember being on board a lot more towards the beginning of it, and then slowly kind of not liking the direction that they were going. I think it was probably around like mid first season. And sadly, I haven't watched it in quite a while, so it's gonna be a little hard to remember exactly what happened in which episode. I remember the first one's mainly him waking up. I do remember that one. That one had me hooked for sure. I wanted to watch more of it. I just wanted it to get into it a lot faster. I feel like there's a lot of hospital scene, and we'd seen something similar in a lot of different zombie flicks back in the day. Like I think 28 Days Later also had one that's pretty similar
Yep.
to waking up in a hospital. So I don't know. I feel like it's ground that as a viewer I've kind of seen before. So I just wanted it to get there a little bit quicker. But I liked a lot of the actors that were in it. I liked some of the additional characters. The character of Daryl isn't in the comics or wasn't when I was originally reading it, so he is kind of added for this. And I don't know, I like that character a lot. I like Norman Reedus. He's pretty awesome of an actor. I can only remember him in a couple other things other than this, but hell yeah, I can definitely see why people see him as their favorite character. But I thought the casting of like a lot of the other characters were really good, spot on, and they expanded on a couple of introductions to a few of the characters in the actual comic. I thought they did okay. Have we met everybody by? So this is up to episode 6, right?
Yeah.
Have we met everyone in the core group? Or I'm not sure if you know it or if this is your first time.
It's
watching.
my first time watching it, so
Okay. I think they've got the core group together now, but I can't fully remember. I remember we've met like Carol and her husband, and they're kind of like camping now, right? Or
I don't know any of their names, to be honest, and that's one of my issues.
Fair enough. You are the wrong person to ask. I forgot about that.
Like, it's crowded. There's a bunch of people.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. So then I think, yes, we have met the core group, which is pretty awesome. I liked a lot of the casting that they did with a lot of that core group. I really liked where I thought some of these characters could go. And I thought that they even added like a few things with who they chose. It's like, ooh, I could see this going way more than like that drawing, that depiction of this character. I don't know that they necessarily pulled through with every one of those things. There are definitely a lot of characters that you meet kind of right away, but you know, it kind of makes sense if this kind of plague or I don't know, whatever you'd call this horrible curse is crossing the land. You know, you'd probably be in like little groups and hope that you could protect each other and stay alive in that way. But you know, are we necessarily going to win? So I think that group would be whittled down. So you might get your wish kind of soon that there won't be a million people. But yeah, they do introduce quite a few people kind of quickly to kind of let you know who the core characters are going to be. And I think it also gives you some of that, you don't know who's necessarily going to make it if they keep picking off people throughout the first few episodes. Like, I don't know, where if they just told you like, here are the main characters and then you just have side characters, you know, it wouldn't build up that tension. I remember really liking it towards the beginning of the season and kind of falling off towards the end of it. So as far as I remember, we're still kind of in the good thing. They try to show you like a little bit of backstory, a little bit of who these people were before you truly met them.
Actually, they only did that with like 2 characters so far.
Then I might be spoiling that they're kind of doing some
they are
of that.
doing it
So
in season
excuse
2.
me.
I've seen that in season 2 with other characters, but in season 1 they barely work on these characters. But at least it improved a lot with season 2. But yeah.
So like Andrew Lincoln, he's the one who plays the main character. I think he does a pretty good job as now I'm blanking on the actual character's name, but yeah, the father of Coral. I didn't realize that dude was British, and he normally speaks with a British accent. I thought he pulls off an American accent pretty well, even if he can't say the name Carl. Yeah, like I don't know. I kind of dug the casting for most of this. I think up until this point, I still had pretty good feelings about the series. I was just really waiting for what they're going to do with some of these characters. And yeah, I think this was also my first introduction to John, what's his name, Benthal or whatever. I think that dude is awesome. I think he can really pull off a character like this that you're supposed to kind of like and hate at the same time. He's one of the survivors. You're rooting for him, but he's morally gray, if you will. I kind of dig that. So yeah, I think I had really positive feelings on this so far. I don't think I had fall off by episode 6, but it's a little hard for me to remember exactly what came when. Did you have more thoughts than me, Moldy?
I did. But before that, Cole is back. I don't know what happened, Cole. What
Power
happened?
went out, but yeah.
I
So you
called
want me
it.
to do, I guess, Avengers quickly?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So this film, yeah, I give it some leeway in areas because obviously it is like the first Avengers film, and it kind of started this genre of films in the comic book genre. I mean, there were other comic book films that did this type of team stuff before it, like since like around 2001 or whatnot, but it's the first one that kind of did it after like individual films and stuff though, and trying to balance it all out. And I thought it did it pretty solid for its time. It did play it safe. It is kind of like the equivalent of like just a bunch of kids getting a bunch of fucking toys and then going ba ba ba, and then with $200 million, but they did it well for the most part, and it was a very well made film. I thought for the most part for this genre, I thought the camera work and cinematography was pretty good for the most part. The music is obviously iconic. The technical areas with the sound design and everything is good. It had scenes that I wish we saw in later MCU films, especially with Hulk there, and it had some good character stuff there. Sure, it's Black Widow and others didn't have a film before this, but I do actually think it kind of worked for their characters and for this film. Hawkeye was kind of lacking a bit, but he's going to kind of lack a bit anyway because he was just that type of character. But they could have done him a bit better. But still, that's like 1 out of like 6 or so. So I'll take it. I thought Black Widow just they handled her well in this film and for like her first real introduction. And yeah, I thought it was pretty. I don't read comics as often, but I read the comics that they were kind of like doing based off of this, and it's pretty identical, just like ripped from the pages. So that was cool, pretty comic accurate there. Yeah, I liked Thor in this. I liked Loki in this, and I thought all their conflicts and stuff were pretty accurate to the characters. I like the stuff with Iron Man and Captain America with Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. I thought all those and the conflict was good. Uh, the comedy was lacking at points, which was the start of like that MCU style comedy. But for this like first kind of event film, it worked and it wasn't like annoying or anything. It's rewatchable there, and it was funny at other moments. So yeah, and the action and stuff at other points was fairly good. It was again more basic, but still, again for its time and everything, I can give it some leeway there. But yeah, it's definitely has issues and with some supporting characters you don't really care about, and some attempts at emotional moments, and of course how they handle Hulk is but again it's an issue with the whole MCU and licensing thing, so I don't really want to blame it on this film, more so like kind of the films after it. And there's some other weaknesses here and there, of course, and just like things that like don't feel as impactful, that are kind of just like a bit corny at points, but it's like a typical popcorn flick. But again, with what they were kind of working with at the time, I'm like, eh. So yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it wasn't like a great film by any means, but a solid film. I would probably give it like a 6 out of 10. I'd give it. And what
Oh,
did you
I'm
get?
surprised. I thought that would be lower. I gave it 6.5, so I'm right in the middle of both of you.
Mhm.
But again, enjoyment wise and entertainment wise, that was like a 12 for me. But I just had so many issues with it. So that's why I gave 6.5. But
Yeah,
I'm surprised. So DC's 1.5 is surprising.
yeah. I don't. I read his whole thing, and I still don't really get it outside of the Hulk thing. But whatever. Uh,
Okay.
but anyway, I guess though you're doing Walking Dead now. Okay.
Yeah, and I will be right back. So I
Okay.
left something in the chat, so guys can do that. On the
Okay.
22nd, I will be away.
All right. Was it
Yeah, I guess it's
okay?
DC's review
Season
for
one.
The Walking Dead season 1.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay. Season
I,
one is overall a good season, but it has its problems. For starters, the season kind of makes everyone look stupid as they only use guns, which they know attract zombies. Well, I mean, they're still learning, and like this is the early stages, but also they don't always just like use guns. Like they they only in like desperate moments, and when they are desperate characters. This is still like the very early stages here, and it's pretty accurate to the comics. Like they don't like fully realize like the effect it has, like a gun, shot that they use at an earlier stage, and then it will attract a horde of zombies from like miles away that will come like hours later. Like they don't really understand that stuff yet. So I mean, I didn't have much of an issue with it. I thought they actually kind of handled that pretty well and everything. But and with them starting to learn, kind of like in the game. But anyway, I never come up with idea of using knives, axes, bow and arrows, maces, etc. I pretty sure they kind of did it. Like, I mean, they do later on too, but I'm pretty sure they kind of did as well here. Like it wasn't like as much as like maybe other seasons. They're really spreading it out in the game, but there were moments that I did recognize there. The drama at times was unbearable. Really, the show's drama has always had a rough edge to it. Well, I will agree there, but I thought season one actually did it well. But anyway, for me, 6 episodes just was way too little for development. Despite my flaws, season one is a good season. Okay. I mean, it was like a short, amount of episodes for a season, but they were kind of good long episodes and had like no filler or anything. Had a lot of good stuff in it. So I mean, like like the 12 episode seasons and other stuff later on, you could really feel the filler, in my opinion. But anyway, I
Guys, I'm
enjoy.
scared.
Yeah, I enjoy Rick's character arc of him finding his wife and son. The CDC was a very nice addition to the show, as the biology behind the zombies made it unique. Shane's arc with Lori and Rick was a great setup for what's to come in later seasons. Vatos, sorry, is it Vatos? Vatos, how do you pronounce it?
It's Vatos.
Vatos is my favorite episode. Also, I'm sorry, I just like went off. I should have let you go. Right, my bad.
Oh, it's
I
all
think
good,
it's gonna
man.
be the
I'm
last one.
enjoying your reading.
Okay. Well, anyway, as it shows how society has fallen, but also has one of the most intense scenes of the show. My score for season one is an 8 out of 10. Oh, I spoiled the rate. Oops.
I
Accident.
think that'll work. So was I
Uh,
confused? So the later seasons I know have more episodes. So was season one just 6 episodes completely?
Yeah.
And it makes it all the way up to the CDC? Sweet. I thought I was gonna spoil some of that. So I liked all of season one then. If it ends at the CDC, I
It
think they
ends with
could have done
CDC,
a little bit more with that. And I think the explosion looks very, very cheesy, if you will.
well,
But
it is AMC, so what do you expect?
yeah, it's AMC. It was their first season, and it's the end of it too. I'm sure they didn't have a ton of budget left by the very end. So I don't know. Like, so I thought that this was all part of it, but I couldn't remember exactly where it had ended. But yeah, with that whole CDC ending, I really like the first season. It still sticks pretty close to the comics. I like the drama that they were able to do with the first season. So it shows like I think you get a little bit of Carol's kind of story that's going on with her domestic drama. You get to see the Rick, Shane, and now I forget Lori's drama. I don't know. I think later on they do handle a lot of the drama kind of horribly, but I think at this point they've got a good script to go off of, based off of the existing comic book, and they're actually sticking with it pretty closely. Yeah, I totally forgot that this was all part of episode one or season one. Yeah, I really like season one. The more that I think about it, I think season two is where it starts to go a little off the rails for me.
Interesting. So I guess I will be next. So The Walking Dead season one. So since it's only 6 episodes, this is all I will rank them. I will rank them all. Season one, episode one was a 10 out of 10 for me. Episode 6 was another 10. but it's second place. In third place, we got episode 3 with a 10. We got episode 4 with another 10. And episode 5 with a 9.5. I only had 2 issues, and my least favorite episode was episode 5 with a 8.5. So 4 and 5 are the weakest episodes for me. And even if they sound crazy, I think the overall season does have a few issues, but individual episodes are rock solid. I really liked the individual episode. It's more like the season that's a bit weaker, but again, I thought that was a solid start for a show. Now when it comes to the entire season, my issues: too many characters. Next up would be characters are forgettable, making sad moment
What?
less
Okay,
emotional.
which characters did you forget? Name them.
I can't name anybody.
What the fuck?
I like the lead. The lead is
How were
cool.
the
He's a
characters
former cop.
forgettable?
And his best friend is cool, but only because of season 2. His best friend was very generic in season 1. Like the entire crew, man. That's no. I don't think the characters are that great in season 1. Forgettable.
Okay, well, it's okay to be wrong.
I cannot name anybody, bro.
Yeah, but I think that's a you problem. Like, you can't usually name anybody in like any film.
Hey, that's a lie. In Lucifer, after 1 season, I could name Chloe and Lucifer.
Okay.
Okay, you're able to name a couple after a full season. Fair enough. I stand corrected.
It's like Resident Alien. First season, I also could name at least 2 or 3 characters.
Okay.
So you don't know Harry, you don't know Asta, you
I
don't
know
know.
them.
Oh, do you?
But,
Okay. Okay.
When I enjoy a show or characters themselves, they latch onto me, man. That's it.
You're saying you can't name Coral if you had to?
Who the fuck is Carl?
It's the kid. You'll
Oh,
get used
that's
to
the
Rick
kid.
yelling out
Okay.
Coral a whole bunch of times. He has trouble pronouncing the kid's name.
Oh, he survives. Okay, because based on what I've seen, he was
Maybe or
dying.
maybe not. You never know.
Yeah, listen.
We will see how it goes.
Yeah, there's 11
but-
seasons of this shit, so have fun.
But yeah, I thought the characters were weak. Outside of that, I did enjoy. The overall season was solid. Outside of my 2 issues, the season had great moments. The music was well made. The lore was interesting. The story was well written. They made me enjoy zombie style I don't tend to like. But again, you mentioned 28 Days Later, and when I think of 28 Days Later, I remember it being better than The Walking Dead, and an extension 20 weeks later was also better than The Walking Dead. But yeah, maybe I'm crazy. Just maybe.
No, I think if you're handling like the whole hospital scene, like waking up, I think that kind of deserves comparison. But yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think 28 Days Later kind of did the hospital part a little bit better for me. But there is a certain creepy factor to it in this one. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. If you were to ask me over like the entire run of the show versus those 2 movies, I would choose those 2 movies right now. But there are moments that really shine in this show that they're hugely impactful. They were culturally impactful. Certain characters' fates really kind of shocked the world, so to speak. So I don't know. I think there are more impactful moments with The Walking Dead, but overall for consistency, yeah, I'd give it to the other 2 films.
So, Cole, what did you think of The Walking Dead first season?
Yeah, I thought it was an excellent season. It's only 6 episodes long, but honestly, I think that was for the best because there was like no filler in this at all. every
Agreed.
scene, had to meet purpose, which is the opposite of literally every single season after this. So yeah, there's just quality over quantity. I love the introduction and how it was like an homage to 28 Days Later. I I love just the music, how it was shot, all the zombie effects, all the characters and actors were fantastic in this, and very memorable. I don't know what Multi's talking about, but yeah, all the characters in this, even the most minor of characters, are memorable, and all the scenes are memorable, and the way it's edited and everything, and the scene transitions, and yeah, just the dramatic elements to it, and them figuring out the world and with the weapons, and how the zombies work and everything. It was very well done, sort of like the game as well that I like a lot. No, not the Daryl Dixon game. Fuck that game, the hell. But anyway, yeah, Daryl Dixon was cool. Yep. Let's see. Trying to remember what else was. Yeah, right. Yeah, as I was saying, yeah, the dramatic scenes I liked a lot. In pretty much every single season after this, I hate the drama in the show. Basically, it's just like, again, I'm not covering the whole show with you, so I'll just say it now with no spoilers. It's just like every season after this, it's like has so many dramatic scenes that are just like character close-ups and like just writing and them saying things that is like trying to be like poetic or like mean something or be like good, powerful, dramatic scenes. But it's not. It's fake and it's just shitty filler, and they do it every episode and it means nothing by the end of it, and they usually forget about it and for the most part, and or change your mind with things. It's just to add fucking filler to it, and I hate it. Uh, but in this season, it was actually well done, and I liked how they were, actually traveled to a good amount of places in this season, which is the complete opposite of every other season after this, because they really needed to save that fucking budget, yeah. And yeah, it was just very interesting.
They
All the
post up
complex.
at places seasonally. It kind of makes sense. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, and the climax was great. Just I really loved all of it and all the characters in it. I will say though, without spoiling, yeah, there was one character in this season who everybody was like, "Oh man, they're so cool." And the moment I fucking heard all that stuff, and then also realized that that it was an original character from the comic, I was gonna be like, I was just like, oh, they're going to just never kill them off. They're gonna have infinite plot armor and just milk them dry to this day. And I was right. But anyways, without saying who that is, not to spoil. But anyhow,
they may or may not be in France.
I think I know which character.
Yeah, but whatever. Anyway, the talk also just a bit about the whole show in general. I guess I'll just do it now because again, I'm not covering this whole show with you, but I just want to say my points. So yeah, this season was considered well. It was a great season, and again, because the source material I love the Walking Dead comics, which is the same dude who also did the Invincible comics and the show for that. So that's cool as well, Robert Kirkman. But yeah, after this season though, they decided to lower the budget to hell on this, but because AMC, this was their first like kind of real show, and they're money hungry fucking bastards who just care about money instead of quality, and with shows like Preacher and stuff. So they decided to lower the budget to hell, which is why they kind of stay in the same place like fucking every season almost, instead of traveling around. Yes, and it's why you barely see any zombies in comparison to season 1. It's like in season 2, you'll see like a couple actually like detailed zombies per episode. The rest are just like very non-detailed zombies in the background, or just like none at all, and they just turned it into like a drama shit because they lowered the budget, and then they also lowered the fucking contracts on every actor part of the show, the money they were making, right? But they all agreed
this is
to it.
why season 2 so far is just, I've seen 3 episodes so far, and it's almost all in the same house, and I'm like,
yep, and it's
guys,
why there's barely as many zombies this time, and there's barely, many other things. And all right,
Don't
and
worry,
it's
they'll
also
leave the
why,
house by the end of the season.
I hope
yeah,
so.
yep,
I'm not
yep.
watching that
But
season of them chilling in the house.
yeah, pretty much. And but they all accepted, even though they were screwed the hell. The actors got screwed. They all accepted it though, and all these fucking restraints by AMC, because the director behind it and the writers and everyone are very talented people who they respect and did other films with. It's the director who did The Green Mile and The Shawshank Redemption, and also The Mist. And you
Damn,
can see
I
the
will hate
actors
it
from
even
some of their
more.
other stuff. No, but anyway, so they all accepted it because they respected the guy and because he did such an amazing job with season 1, obviously, and they saw his vision. And then a few days later, they fire him, and then they hire a
But
bunch of
why?
fucking hack. Yep, then they hire a bunch of
You
hack
can do it
directors and
cheaper.
writers to do it. Yep.
Wait,
they got
are
a
you
bunch of
telling me
hacks
the
to
guy
do
that
it.
made season 1 did Shawshank and
Yeah,
Green
Frank
Mile?
Darabont.
What? How is it possible? I like season 1, and I hated
So it
Green
turns out
Mile.
you're not completely allergic to all quality, just most of it.
Yeah. But yeah, so then they fired him and hired a bunch of hacks so it would be cheaper, and that's why you'll see throughout the show, without spoiling or saying who and whatnot, there will be just so many random weird moments in the story and change of paces and just character arcs like ending and characters like exiting the show. And it's because all the actors are a part of this are just like, please get me to fuck off this show now. And because they're milking it dry, and because they fucking ruined this then, and because of the fucking cheap budget, like it happened with everybody. And
But
holy
because
fuck.
they're pulling from such good source material, there's still like gold nuggets in there. That there's still like
because
some
of the
amazing
source
scenes.
material. Yes, the
Yeah.
source material is so amazing, and the actors involved are so amazing that it's still a watchable show up until around like season 5 or season 6, where then it eventually just goes off the fucking rails, and there's only like one good character in it by that point with a baseball bat. But anyhow, but there's whatever, and that's basically my whole thoughts on the fucking show. Yeah, fuck AMC for ruining The Walking Dead and ruining this vision we could have gotten. Yeah, but what I will say though is, after you watch season 2, I recommend checking out some this one deleted scene. Well, actually, since it's not spoiling anyway, since you already watched the start of season 2 and you watched season 1, I'll just say it. But I recommend watching it on YouTube if you can find it. There's a deleted scene that they were going to do in episode 1 of season 2, where they actually go back to the one area in season 1 with that like one group with like the old people and everything. Like if you remember that in season 1, right? Malty?
Oh yeah.
Yes, and they go back and they were massacred. All of them, all their bodies everywhere, just
Really?
bloodied. Yes, the whole place just
Oh,
by
this
somebody.
is why they said nobody survived. I was like, man, I feel like there's something missing there, but they caught something that should have been important. What the?
Yeah, I don't
They
get
don't
why.
stop there. There's a lot that's kind of important.
Yes, there's a lot
either
that's
gets
cut,
cut
and
or
there's a lot
changed.
that just make no sense, and that changes every
Okay,
time.
so
Like I'm not kidding you.
so
I'm not kidding you, Malty. There were so many moments throughout the show, especially in the later seasons, where the fucking writers or producers or whoever will want to like just try to kill somebody off for shits and giggles. So then they'll like do something. They'll write the character into a certain like circles, and then they would be like to the producers or whoever, I guess you have to kill them off, and then they're like, fuck you, put them back in the show, and then they're like, okay, fine. And that happens like 6 times with like so many characters. Like it's just a shit show later on. It is
based
hilarious.
on what you told me, episode 1 got worse. I need to remember this shit, so I need to mark it down in my notes.
No. It's
because I feel like there was
season 2. It's in season 2.
Yeah, I know that's season 2. Like, yeah, like there's a scene in the first episode of season 2 where they're like, "Oh, everyone died on the other place."
Yeah,
and
yes,
I
but
didn't
you
connect
would
to that
blame you would blame season 2 though, because it was supposed to be an
yeah, I
episode
will
1
blame season 2. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I will blame season 2, but I need to remember that, so I mark it down for season 2.
Yeah, but anyway,
because
that's my whole thoughts on this fucking show. Yeah, fuck AMC.
if
but
you delete a
season
scene
1,
like that, your episode drops for me. Like what?
Yeah, pretty much. But anyway, season 1's at least excellent though, and I still stand by that. I love it. And then the rest of the show from there for some seasons afterward is still watchable because of those two things. But yeah, I wish all fucking pain on AMC. All right, I hate them.
You ate them. So, what would be your grade out of 10 for the first season?
Like an 8.5, I would give it.
When it comes to me, that would be a 9.5 out of 10. What about you, Gray?
I'll split the difference. Season 1, so I totally forgot where it went to, but now that I remember that it's the CDC arc, yeah, I think they did that really well. I think they still stuck to the source material, even though they invented like a new character. I really dug it. I know I watched season 1 multiple times. I think it holds up for me. I'll go 9. And then
But yeah,
I think we already said it, but DC did 8 out of 10 for that. So we're somewhere between 8 and 9.5 apparently. So quality.
So I'm wondering, guys. Cole, you said many instances in the show they did the same thing where they cut scenes.
Yeah, there's many cut scenes and just many changes
Can you
throughout
just
the show.
Can you just list me some kind of list of cutscenes and such?
I mean,
because
it would be a long list, like, but I mean, I can
Yeah.
watch some like iceberg videos.
what
and,
could
you know,
what could impact the show? Basically, does that trim down the result or not really? Because they all do matter for the
But
story.
just look, I don't even need to explain to you. You'll just notice, all right? There'll be just like a character who just dies out of nowhere, and you think their arc wasn't complete and stuff, and that's because the actor wanted
It's not.
to be written off the show, or because the producers just did it to be funny, like the Game of Thrones people. All right, it is a mess, but you'll notice it at any time it happens, probably because it will be just so weird and abrupt. But also, you'll notice just like repeating storylines so often with like characters, and that's because they'll be trying to like write them off for shits and giggles, and then they would have conflicts with producers where then they put them back in somehow, and it's a mess. It's just, this show's a fucking mess after season 1. Jesus, you'll notice it. I don't
But
even
you
need
might
to
want to
tell you.
You might want to search YouTube for just differences between the comic books and show, because there's a million videos.
Yeah, like
on
Shane
those,
was
but they
supposed
go
to
through,
die
like, all
in the first comic,
deviations.
very first comic when they were at the camp place. He was supposed to die then. He did in the comic.
Okay, and who is Shane?
The cop friend, the one who's also the friend
Oh,
of Lori, the love
okay.
triangle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the
Now I
moment
see.
Rick comes back or something, like around the moment, then in the comics, he shoots him. Then he goes crazy.
He should have
Like in the very
died.
first comic.
I ate him in season 2.
Yeah, they spread him out because he's a good actor, Jay Baruso. So that's what they do, and just milk this show dry. Just God, again, season 1 is excellent in how you do it, no filler and anything, and then every season after it is the cash grab version of Walking Dead.
That's how we do movies, guys.
Yeah, so anyway, enjoy 10 seasons of Hell Now.
Wow, that's very optimistic.
Yes, and you better not watch those shitty spin-offs. Just don't waste your time with them.
Well, I will ask if DC
There's
has
some
seen
good
them.
actors in them, but yeah, they're not great.
If DC has seen these, we will. But if he didn't, I won't waste shit on it. But yeah, I'm anxious a bit about the future. So since I don't have much to say about Come and See, I guess that could be the next topic because we will be brief on that, except if Cole has a lot to say. But
All right.
Yeah, well,
I
again, I
want
didn't.
to see that one, so I'm gonna step out for a minute. If you could give me like a
Yeah, I was
signal,
gonna
or
say, I
let
would
me know in
put-
yeah,
chat
we
when
we
you're
will
back.
let you know in the
Cool.
pre chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I hated this movie so much, deeply, badly.
Wow.
It's not a bad
You hate
movie.
quality. I can't blame you.
It's not a bad movie, but I hated the experience. It's like, why?
There's barely any subtitles in it. You don't need to read them.
Bro, I placed it as as background sound at some point because I tapped out.
What the
If
fuck? For
if we were not
background sound.
if we were not doing this podcast, I would have stopped watching after 20 minutes. I'm not joking.
Oh,
Uh,
this is wow, this is insane. Well, you're insane, but anyway, I'm gonna go because I can't listen to this. No, this is an incredible film. Like I mentioned before, how Spirited Away is like so hard to put into words. It's just something beautiful that you have to kind of experience. That is almost like a dream. This is like that, but instead of a dream, it's a nightmare, and that's the best way to kind of describe come and see and the experience of it. But I just love it, and I've rewatched it so many times. It's one of my favorite films ever. Actually, it's like number 3 right now, I believe. I just first off, the way it's shot is incredible, and especially the close up shots. It's actually like a painting or like a fucking horror, like the creepiest horror film ever. Especially just like it's like there'll be so many just like shots of characters and their faces that are like regular scenes or dramatic moments, but is shot like an incredible horror film like The Shining and other things, and it just works so well. It's just so creepy and horrifying, especially with like the one girl. And they got the director before before doing this, I believe, did like stuff for like younger audiences or like kids or lighthearted stuff. So it's incredible just seeing that change of pace there with well, not change of pace, just I guess genre change, swap, whatever you call it there. And yeah, that was incredible, and the music throughout the film is incredible. And it's like anytime that one like music loop and also the plane in the sky like appears, there's always like danger. It's almost like a like the Grim Reaper almost is like a symbolism. Just anytime it appears is when the danger starts. So, and it just follows the character around. And yeah, the acting in this is incredible, especially by obviously the main kid, the main character, especially for a child performance. It is just masterful, and it was so good, especially for this time that the director said that the actor could have ended up in an insane asylum because it was that effective of him just like losing his mind and everything. And it's just incredible, and every shot of it is incredible. And just seeing him from the start of the war to how he looks at the end, it just completely his mind lost and everything. And then especially the scene at the end of him just like then going back in there, knowing that him and everybody else will eventually die, especially just like how many people in the Soviet Union died during World War II, which is just incredible. The numbers there, like holy fuck, just insane stuff there. Like uh, All Quiet on the Western Front, the remake in 2022 or 2023, tried doing similar things with that, but this is just was way more effective to me there. And especially just at the end with him shooting the paint in there, it's like it was, and how yeah, just trying to like reverse everything, shooting, just shooting the paint and going back further and further until it just lands on the image of like Hitler as a baby, and then just realizing that yeah, I can't stop it, basically, even if he tried, just like it's too late. But it's basically like the whole Hitler baby question that people brought up. Just love that part of it, and it's just so horrifying. Again, all the scenes in this, all the action scenes with the village, especially near the end, and them burning everybody inside, and just the reaction of everybody and how they act. Fuck that. There's just a scene with the cow as well. The scene with the flank and everything, and this scene where it just cuts to all the villagers just and their bodies and stuff, realizing what he caused by joining the war and sending them there. Just incredible stuff there, and just throughout, I could keep going, but just incredible film, incredibly made. Just like it's a flawless film to me. There's no areas that could be improved on, and yeah, just incredible.
let's tear it apart.
Yeah, well, you're wrong, but okay.
I didn't connect with anything. I ate subtitle, and I'm tired of war movies.
There's barely any subtitles in it, firstly, and secondly, this is so different from like you mentioned. Like there's so many war films. It's like yeah, because Like that's war stuff is like the biggest thing in like human history and humanity that we've just gone through so many times, and for border stuff. So yeah, there's a reason why there's so many of them, but also like the majority of them recovered are like completely different from one another, especially others we haven't covered yet. And this is just
Please
complete.
never
Yeah,
cover
yes,
them.
this is completely different from any other war film you've seen. Like how I don't get this is basically like watching a horror film, not a war film. And again, there's like no talk in it, dialogue in it. There's like barely any. It's like how can it be much of an issue? It's like a visual experience.
Okay, my first issue, telling instead of showing the guy sleeping at work. I can't remember what I refer to. I want to forget I've seen
Wait,
that movie.
Wait, the guy's sleeping at work. What do you mean?
I can't remember. I thought you would piece it together because you know
There's
this movie so well.
The guy's sleeping at work. What do you mean?
I can't remember.
You mean
man.
you mean the scene where like I'm trying to think of like what scene that is. I've seen this so many times.
I refer this. Maybe that's a guy. They speak about a guy sleeping at work or something.
Oh, you mean sleeping
at work
Oh,
or sleeping.
sleeping.
I can't remember. Maybe it's
think
the
you mean- I think you mean
translation I
sleeping.
found.
I think you mean like when he was like keeping watch, and then the guy told him like that like I could have been an enemy. You have to be careful with that.
Maybe I don't know. I
Like,
can't
but okay,
remember, bro.
but that isn't telling instead of showing because
I can't
they
remember.
showed it too. They showed it too. Okay,
I can't
I'm just gonna
remember.
say. Okay, I'm just gonna say whatever the scene was. You're wrong anyway because literally every scene in this film is showing instead of telling, and even when they do tell, they're still showing it. So I don't. You're not. There's no scenes that are like that in this
The
film.
lightning was bad in all of the nighttime scenes.
Okay,
Just
well that's
horrendous.
wrong. That's wrong. But okay.
Characters are forgettable.
What-
Pacing, the last 30 minutes or so could have been trimmed down.
Wait, the last 30 minutes? How could that be trimmed down? It's the whole massacre. There wasn't like you wanted to trim that down.
Yeah,
What the fuck? Okay, and also
I hated this movie, bro. I hated it
characters
so
being
much.
forgettable. Like, what do you mean by what characters being forgettable? Because
I can't remember a single character. Okay, maybe
do
a
you mean?
kid that went at war, but even
Yes,
there,
yes,
like I
the
cannot
the
tell a
main
single
character
trait of
there.
him.
Yes, the main character and the girl you obviously remember, but every other character in this,
I
you're not
don't. I only
you're not-
remember the kid going at war.
okay, well that's definitely a you problem. But secondly, like every character in this film outside of the kid has like around 3 to 5 minutes of screen time, so you're not supposed to like remember them that much. They're supposed to be just like in the bunch. It's only supposed to be the kid you really remember, so that isn't a bad thing. Like if there was a character that had like 30 minutes of screen time and you don't remember them, then you could call it an issue. But
I can call it an issue if I want.
well, yeah, okay, you can, but you're wrong. Anyway, continue.
I'm right. I'm always right. You know that.
Fucking hell.
I will admit, the reaction of the mother when the kid was taken early in the movie was enjoyable. The music and sound effect were on point. The people running in circle was entertaining, I guess, because I really wanted to find reason to defend this movie. The music, the building and fire was fine, and that's it. I don't have much more to say. Like, I hated the experience so much. Like, if it was just my entertainment and my enjoyment, that would be a 1, maybe a 0. But because I only had a few issues here and there, I will admit this is just not my cup of tea, and I will give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. Above average, actually good. 7.5 is good for me. What about you, Cole?
This is a 10 out of 10, and this is just this is just insane that some of the things I've heard you say, but whatever. Whatever. Gray can watch it at a later date, and then we'll know how wrong you are. But okay.
I'm always right. You know that.
Okay. Yeah, so you are actually always right. We're
Hell
just
yeah, I'm
we're
always
too
right.
we're too unintelligent to figure out just your higher capacity of thinking yet.
I'm in the future. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm in the future. It's future me talking to you. Um, so next up would be um, there will be blood. Another movie I hated, but not as much as.
I'm done.
Allergic to quality. How do you hate that movie? No,
Well,
I
actually,
need to have
there
you
are
go first,
moments.
man.
They are moments, but sadly that will disappoint you. But I will be right back because I will
Ah,
break apart. But um, I will let whoever wants to go first,
Yeah.
and I won't
Look.
take too long. And once I'm back, if well, we will wait until the person finish, and then I will go second
Yeah.
to please you.
Well. Okay. Well, I mean, if you want to go, Gray, since you're away, then you can. But I'm thinking I should
uh,
go, so then you can
okay, yeah. If you want to go, man, go right
listen.
ahead.
No. So then you can listen to Maltese thing, and then you go. So then you can just
Okay,
add
let's
that
do
to
it.
your thing. Okay, but anyway, yeah, no, this was just a masterful film. Just this and No Country for Old Men coming out in the same year, just incredible. I wish they both just tied for Best Picture. I just love everything about this. Paul Thomas Anderson's directing. The cinematography is perfect as well. Just the same thing with No Country for Old Men's. Just both of those are perfect in this. Uh, Daniel Day Lewis, his best performance probably ever to me. I just and he's like one of the best actors of all time. But yeah, I just love this performance. It's one of my favorite ever, and Paul Dano as well. And just like this is Paul Dano at his best. I just love when he plays weirdos like this. Same thing with Barry Keoghan. But yeah, just incredible performances there and chemistry there, especially just that finale scene and the final line and everything. Just incredible. So many hilarious moments, dramatic moments, just so many throughout the film. Great action moments, when there is some fantastic write-in, just such a compelling story, just how they do it throughout the runtime. Just love it. And this is on, this is about, a pretty important story as well. Like the guy basically like fucking I like it caused inflation or something at the time, I believe, just because he had like so much money from collecting all the oil and everything, and then like went crazy, I believe, for similar reasons. But yeah, and especially just thing with the one kid as well, and becoming deaf and everything, just and all those scenes, very interesting as well, and very amazing scenes. Love those two, and the performance there. Yeah, just love this film. Music great too, sound design great, and the lighting is perfect too. Yeah, just an incredibly made film that I don't understand why Multi doesn't like. Like it's an amazing made in every level, and it has action, it has character development. Like what? Why does he not? I guess he is just allergic to quality. Okay. Anyway, you can go next, Multi, and then because then Gray wants to hear you before he goes.
I would just like to know your objections to this
Oh
masterpiece,
my.
but okay.
Um. Um. So I will start by saying I don't think it's a bad movie, but I hated this movie nonetheless. Not as
Yeah, but
much as
why?
Come and See. So the pacing, that movie is just way too long. Like 2 hour and 40
Right.
minute. I did need to split it in two halves because I could not sit through like 2 hour and 40 minutes of that.
Dude,
Like
really?
I will also be frank and honest again. This movie, if we were not doing the podcast, I would have tuned out after 20 minutes. I'm not joking. Like,
How? It doesn't grip you with like sorry,
no,
I'm
it
interrupting,
didn't.
but like so where would you have tuned out by? Like when you see the guy like mining like horribly on his own, the horror that
Yeah.
he goes through where
Like
he
I,
then
like I can
falls back
understand
into the
him
mine.
zoning out a bit, after the kid becomes deaf with all those scenes, maybe. But even then, I don't get
With
it.
the
Like an
kid
hour
becoming
into it.
deaf was decent. That was a part that kind of hooked me, but I
Wait,
was
that
still
part did,
drained.
but not the rest. I mean, I'm not saying those scenes were bad. The whole film was amazing, but I could at least understand that because they were
Because I
slow
felt
and
like
kind of
we
feeding
finally
things.
had progress, and we finally had something that was
What do you mean there
entertaining
wasn't
or
progress
interesting for me.
before that?
Well,
What?
that's
How
just
was
how
that
I
not
felt.
interesting?
Like, I don't care about like oil and like business and
No,
like
You
that
understand it's
time
not
it
period.
really
wasn't
about
just that.
oil.
Yes, there's many things to this story, and if you paid attention, like that
I
makes it
just
pretty
didn't connect, man.
interesting.
Again, if we were not doing our podcast here, I would have tuned out after 20 minutes. I'm not joking.
Like, wow, really? Because like it isn't just like an oil thing. It's like like with this time period and this stuff like this at the time and what the character was like doing and the things he came up with. This is like the equivalent of like a movie about like searching for gold or like lost treasure. Like that's basically what it is. And then there's so many other things to it, like the character drama elements and everything, and the performance. Just like I don't get how you're not compelled by that.
I wasn't.
Like,
Now
what, you weren't
I only
compelled by
had two
Paul Dano's
issues.
performance?
I actually like Paul Dano. Oh, actually, it was the best part of the movie. It was the only thing I will praise anytime. I think it was the best part of the movie.
Which
And this
performance?
Paul Dano, that was like the
I
kind of
know he
priest,
played
or I
two
don't know,
characters supposedly. There was Paul and Eli.
the church guy. I can't remember. Like I know
Eli.
what you're talking about, but Eli.
Mhm.
That if that's the church guy,
Wait, I
but
didn't realize he played two characters. Do you mean his brother at the start? He also played him, or
that
Yeah.
was the priest.
So
I
that's
like the
kind of where it's
priest.
open to interpretation. Well, the first kid who gives him kind of the who lets him know that there is oil on this property and gets the fee on that introduces
so
itself as
wait,
Paul.
so it's open for interpretation that it's the same person just trying to get
Yeah,
more money
whether
from him.
or not there is a Paul. Is he the twin brother that just disappears? Because then later on, Daniel Day-Lewis is Daniel Plainview is willing to crush any of his competitors. But at the end, he's like, no, he's got his own company. They're making $5,000 a week. He's a competitor. Would he allow that to stand? Like, I don't know. I'm of the camp that the character doesn't exist, that it is Eli. And so the other camps that he mentions that he went and tried to start the church at, they're well-known oil sites as well. So it kind of implies that he took all the money that his father was supposed to get for the property and everything for the church and actually tried to invest in oil and failed at every one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's coming back with hat in hand. So it's kind of Daniel Plainview calling him on, Paul was the actual prophet. And it's just kind of going on from there. I like that interpretation, but I've heard other ones that also seem quite amazing. And that's the thing. There's just so much left up for interpretation. Like every viewing, you get so much more. I just don't understand how you'd want to turn it off in 20 minutes. But my bad. Sorry for taking over your review.
So my first issue is spacing. The start of the movie could have been trimmed down. Everything took forever in the mines leading to the guy falling on his back. I get it. Like they wanted to depict, oh, that's dangerous, but like, why do we need like to spend like 10 minutes on a guy walking a
couldn't
ladder
even
and then
appreciate
falling on his back?
Could you
I think
appreciate the cinematography of it? That it was like,
yeah, but like
every single one of those scenes was
Yeah,
double
like-
focus. So it has something that it's already focused on.
it was.
Then
it
they
was too
actually
long.
move the camera in that same scene, and then it pulls focus again. Like it's almost amazing.
The camera
man.
work
Like,
is good. So my issue is
everything
that
about
it
it's
just
so
It
gorgeous.
just took too long for me. But I agree with that. Like it's gorgeous as you say it, and I agree with that. But again, like I have low attention retention, so if you don't hook me fast, it will be really hard. Like there are cases where I had hard time getting into a movie, but then later on something hooked me and I went back. But here it's just not the case. Like the when the kid became deaf, that was like the moment that would have hooked me, But it happened like after an hour or so, and I was already done with the movie in my mind, Like my mind was already like kind of close to this movie because I was just watching it for the podcast because I wasn't enjoying the experience. But again, I don't think it's a bad movie. I just didn't like the experience. So my second issue would be the last 20 minutes took forever, but again, there are moments in between that I enjoyed. The kid turning blind and the father like trying his best to like be in denial or something, because it was like, you're not like that, that's not what's going on, we will find a way, I will cure you or something. um and then at some point he realized, man, I'm kind of ashamed of what I did, so I will get rid of you. And he just leaves the kid in the train, and that was a very impactful scene. That was goddamn sad.
You get that he
And
actually felt shame for that? Like, out of curiosity, on what
well,
part?
he more had like shame toward, oh, my son won't do anything of his life, like he won't see everything I did for
Well,
him because he's blind or something. Like he wasn't comfortable having a
yeah.
son that's like deaf and like,
Well, because it shows that he doesn't actually give a fuck about him.
Yeah, I think kind of the other
then he just brought
interpretation
him
is that he
back to
stopped being useful to him.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. And then he only brought him back to pretend like he cares.
that's actually adds more to it. So I guess that entire thing is good. But yeah, I that was part of the story I liked, but I apparently misunderstood. But I think I will blame a lot of that is due to me not really caring much, because when I do care about something, I try to understand it. Here I didn't. I was just like, oh, I guess he didn't like his son and he wanted to get rid of him because he wasn't comfortable having like a deaf kid or something. But I guess no, that's not what's going on. But again, Paul Dano was solid. I think I'll like anything the guy is in except this movie.
Except his best one, besides maybe 12 Years a Slave. Okay.
um, uh, the lead putting a bullet into the other guy's brain was entertaining. I can't remember what I refer to, but I guess that's a moment
That's
where
his
he
brother,
deletes some.
where
Oh
he
yeah,
finds out that he's an imposter and he's willing to dispatch that guy right away.
that's something I liked. That was entertaining. Uh, there are a few good things, like what I just mentioned. The next thing I liked was the church scene with the sinner was entertaining. When he was like, just gave up on my son, and like he pretend he's kind of believing to look better and good because all of these people there they believe. Um, the end where he kind of forced the priest to admit the priest, uh, like is a fraud or something was entertaining. Um, it's all messy because again, I did struggle with this movie. I needed to sit to really watch it. So I don't have much more to say. I didn't like this movie. It's a good movie. I just didn't like it at all.
Yeah, so many feelings to your review. Thank you for expressing what this meant to you. So I absolutely love some Paul Thomas Anderson films, and there's a couple that are really trying for me, but my God, this one is just like it's
I
out of
think
the park for
Inherent
me.
Vice is probably his worst.
That's the one that I have a real tough time with, but something like Boogie Nights is just like amazing. He has a way to, and I think part of it is the cinematography. Like he really casts for like faces that really just express, and then he's willing to just let that do a lot of the heavy lifting in this. And this is no exception. Like every single actor that he has on here is just so expressive. And so I guess let me back this up just a little bit. Like Cole was talking about, like this is an amazing year for film. Like there was also No Country for Old Men, and then there's There Will Be Blood, and they're both, sort of westerns of a sense, but they could not be more different. And with the way that No Country did their soundscape, their sound design, and their kind of lack of music, There Will Be Blood did the exact opposite, and in theaters, just like the soundtrack to this, just the score was just over the top amazing, and it did completely the opposite that film did to me. If you do ever get a chance to see this in theater multi, which I know you are just dying to see this in theater, it is such an immersive experience, and just that opening, I don't know what you want to call that, like 15 minutes before he actually has his oil, where you see that he's just willing to extract anything he can get out of the ground, just suck it out for money. And the lengths that he goes to with the mining, and just how treacherous it is, and just how tough and a badass that this dude is, to where he literally falls down the mine, and like you could see he has a broken leg, crawls all the way up, and then you see the mountains that he has to crawl himself over to get out of there. And then you see him next, and he's now gone on to the next big find. It sets up who this character is. But with that score going that whole time, there's just so much tension built up in this. I hadn't watched this for like a few years, and I ended up watching it just a few days ago. It is amazing, and the performances are so good. I remember the first time I watched it, I wanted to know who this Paul character is. Like, he just kind of shows up, he kind of sets things in motion, and then there's another character who looks just like him, and he does reference his brother in front of his father, and he really, so that Eli character mentions his brother Paul, who left them. It is kind of interesting. I was kind of more of the camp that this Paul character exists and he left, and maybe he is a competitor and he did invest his money wisely. But from looking at a couple of the other interpretations, and then kind of what I saw this time, I kind of changed my interpretation on that this Paul character never existed, and it was a ploy, and it's kind of just an alias that Eli used to essentially get money out of him. And then everything is in the name of this church, the third revelation, I believe it is. And then from there, he's going to go ahead and spread the word. But where he happens to spread the word is these other famous kind of oil claim spots, if you will. So it sounds like he was chasing fortune and was using the church as some sort of cover. And he kind of mentions that, and it's very subtly in that just amazing final scene. That entire final scene is just so goddamn good. There's a bunch of different analysis on just that final scene. It is so amazing, and there's so much that's said in there. And Paul Dano's character Eli goes through so many different changes in emotion. Just the acting that's just displayed between both of them. Daniel Day-Lewis, like this master manipulator, he knows what Eli's character made him do in that church, and he's just been banking this, and he's just been waiting, and he's making him declare that he actually is a fraud. It is just masterfully done. It is an acting clinic that is just put on between those two. I can't say enough good about this movie. If I had to choose between the two, No Country or this one, I'm not sure where I would come down on it. I think they're both amazing. I think I might go No Country, but
No
this
Country
film
for
is
me.
so impactful. Yeah, I think I'd go that route. It sounds like Cole is a little bit more in There Will Be Blood. I totally get it. They're just so many things are just so amazing and just go so understated in this. I think Paul Thomas Anderson was on, his real game in this. Just he could not have chosen any better actors for any of these roles. Like, just everything from the smallest bit part just like stands out. I couldn't imagine a better actor as like Eli's father, who's just completely, malleable, I guess, to Eli's kind of reign, and that just the way that, again, this is shot, where it's double focused inside of one single shot. There's another really cool analysis where it kind of breaks down every single edit that's in this movie, and there's just so many less edits than you would anticipate, and then the average film has. What he keeps doing is kind of this double focus thing, where you'll be focused on one thing that's in frame, and the camera will still move, and then it's focused on another thing. And they do it masterfully in the beginning when he's mining, but they also do it in that scene where he's coming to I can't remember the estate, but Eli and his father to try and get the land. It keeps focusing on the father, and then Eli keeps kind of cutting in, and he realizes Eli is the one that he actually has to make the deal with. Just the way that the camera is pulling focus between both of those, and then what it actually lands on. It is just, the story is told so many different ways in this. Um, I can't say enough about this. Just everything, every aspect that is put onto film is amazing and is beautiful. I'd have a hard time choosing between the two. I think for me, No Country just barely edges this out, but I think this one is still just top notch. And any other year, I think this would be my top film.
Okay, well, I don't have much more to say on that. I'm wondering if any of you would like to add more.
Not for me. And I will just say, did you ask like which one I prefer more?
I think you were
yeah.
saying that you liked There Will Be Blood a little bit more, but I could be wrong.
No, I said no. I said that they're both completely even. I can't choose. They're literally both 100s out of 100.
Yeah, I honestly wish it was like any other year, but yeah, two amazing ones. Just, and I think they were right close to each other too. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, just my enjoyment, not the critique and not stuff like. I give this one 1 or 0. But again,
what the wow.
I only had 2 issues. So as a critique and as a final review, I think this movie deserves 9.5 because it's a well-made movie. I just didn't like this experience. I just didn't connect with anything. I hated this shit. So I still value it as a good movie. But I just didn't like it at all.
Okay, I mean, fair enough. I mean, again, if you didn't connect with it, then you didn't connect with it. So that's all fair. I'm just more so confused with how you didn't connect with it because I thought it would at least have things you would connect with, like character-wise, and there was some fun action stuff. Okay, well,
again, if we were not doing this podcast after 20 minutes, I would have tapped out. Again, the visual are good, like the oil ring blowing up just before the kid became deaf basically was beautiful. So again, the visual was great. I just didn't like the experience at all. It's just not for me, westerns, I guess. Dre, what would be your grade out of 10?
It's a 10 out of 10, man. It is masterfully done. Everything from every single frame of audio, every single frame of video, like every single thing about this is just 10 out of 10. Every performance that's in here, I could not mock anything or give any way to improve this. This is just masterfully done cinematography on top of amazing scores, on top of like acting that just knocks it out of the park. This is just, it's a clinic, man. I got to give it 10 out of 10.
What about you, Cole?
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Okay. So, next up would be we need to talk about Kevin. Now
you got the name of the title wrong. Yeah, did you watch the wrong film?
Was that the Ezra Miller movie?
Yeah, but you got the title wrong. It's the Ezra Miller biopic.
Oh, okay. I see what you're doing. Yeah. Maybe that's why he's a freak. I don't know.
That's his origin story.
I guess that's why they are a freak, I should say. Okay, I get it now. Who wants to go first on that one?
Does anybody want to go first, or you want me to?
I will let you go first.
Okay. Yeah. Again,
We need
this
to
was
talk
one I
about
wish
Ezra
I.
Miller.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. This was one I wish I kind of wrote some notes down in advance. So I just didn't have time. But yeah, this is a film that got like I heard so many people talk about it and how it's like a school shooter type of film and that it's pretty depressing and stuff. But yeah, I was not expecting that going into it. Like, holy fuck, it hit me. Like yeah, just it is okay. I mean, just film, just how it's made wise, it is yeah, excellently made and written. Just how it's shot is really well done. How it's all the actors did a great job. And Ezra Miller did a good job for once again. Surprisingly, it seems like the only two or so good performances in his career are when he's playing psychopaths. I don't know why that
Young.
is. Yeah, when he's young. Yeah, I don't know why that's it. That is, just definitely nothing to come later on in his life. Anyway, but yeah, just incredible there though, and just it does just like perfectly kind of like portray just all the perspectives of like and the aftermath of this type of thing very well, and in all their shoes. And there's some things like common to like the one of the I believe the mother of like Dylan Klebold during that Columbine shooting that I kind of recognize in the character too. But yeah, it is just really well done and well written, and just the story from start to finish is really engaging. And I think it's just a perfect portrayal of like somebody's kind of like sociopathic or whatever you want to call it, just like this with these mental issues, whatever you want to call it, and also how they kind of might have like started, like early on. I think it's just like a perfect like portrayal of it. Like I've worked with some people who had like a lot of mental issues before, and I've also in the past had mental issues because of where I grew up in and stuff. And I can just say like this is pretty dead accurate to like somebody like this who would like cause this type of act, and like how they are, and just how every scene plays out in like the film, like how they're basically like they think like they don't see anybody else in the on earth as like a human being. They only see themselves as like a human being. So and they see themselves as like the protagonist, so they just act however they want with like no care. And how they'll even like just like even the line like near the end of the film, how he just like says those cheesy quotes like I might be tied up later, and it's like nobody will get it, and it's for literally nobody other than himself in that time. Nobody will remember that. She won't remember that line. Nobody else will get it. But it's just, but that's accurate because that's what people like this do, and because like almost like they're in like a movie like this. So it's just, and just doing it for like their own entertainment, trying to be like smart, and especially just like that line at the end of them like thinking they knew everything, and that's why they did it. As simple as that. And throughout their life, it's just like a very dead accurate portrayal of just like all of that. So I can just say, just super well done there. I did not expect them to actually get like so many of these things like right, or just like do this accurate of a job at it. But yeah, just every scene in this is just so dramatic and pretty horrifying and shocking, just like, and the twists and turns it takes. And yeah, John C. Reilly also did a really good job in this role. I wish you would do more, roles like this and The Lobster and stuff, instead of some of those shitty comedy films he did in later years. But he seems to be returning to that more though, so that's nice. But yeah, and of course, main actress in this, I forgot what her name was again. For some reason, I'm blanking on it. Tilda Swinton, right? Yeah, she was also in The Killer, if you remember her in that multi.
I didn't.
She was like the one female that he killed.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Now I remember. Oh, that's surprising.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah.
That's like a mood shift.
Yeah, she's in it. Like she does a lot of like indie and art house stuff. Like she like fucking does so many of them. Like she's collecting the Infinity Stones. But yeah, just incredible there. Some of the music that was in this was also really well done. The sound design and everything, and just like the dream like scenes and everything, just all incredible. Just a very, very excellently made film. I really dug it, and just really horrifying at parts too. Like I was expecting, some drama school shooter thing, sort of in the fashion of like
of like the film Mass that came out like a few years ago that I really liked too. I wasn't expecting something like this, so but yeah, I really digged it. So yeah,
Okay.
that's about it, I guess.
So, Gray, you are next. What did you think of We Need to Talk About Crazy Miller?
So we need to talk about Kevin. So it's amazing. So I love Lionel Shriver. She's the author who wrote this book. This wasn't my first novel by her, but I did read the novel before seeing this film. So she doesn't have any other film adaptations of her novels. I know she was kind of in talks for, I think, The Body Through Motion, and I think The Mandibles might have been optioned, but she has some really out there kind of novels, and it's really interesting. This was an amazing adaptation of that novel, but I don't know how exactly you'd put like that novel onto screen, and I think this was an amazing way of kind of conceptualizing that. A good portion of the beginning of this is a whole bunch of letters that she's writing to her husband. And the husband character, I didn't see him as like the John C. Reilly type, but I think the way that he's playing this role is just like amazing. It does kind of hit a lot of the notes that are kind of struck in the novel, but it tells it really quick. Like a lot of the scenes are a little bit more like a montage, where in the novel they really kind of go through it, and you get this whole unreliable protagonist, the unreliable narrator thing. It is told from Kevin's mother's perspective, Tilda Swinton's. Now I'm blanking on the actual character's name. Ava Kachadorian's perspective. So she is a bit of an unreliable protagonist. You can tell that and there's parts of it that they kind of downplayed, obviously due to time. Like it's quite a long novel, but she is a very annoying character in the novel, and she's supposed to be. You're not necessarily supposed to,
and you can
side
notice
with
that
her.
in scenes. Like you can notice scenes with her attitude
Uh-huh.
where it's almost like like the mother, like Dylan Klebold, how it's just so oblivious to like how she raised him and acted.
Well,
How
what
she
type of
despises
mother
him.
would produce a kid like that? Like it's very strange, and you only get glimpses of it in this. It goes by really fast, and then with them going to multiple time frames, specifically 3 based off of her hairstyle, with it kind of jumping back and forth, some of that's lost where it's a lot more out there in the book. But she's not interested in having a kid. It's kind of more her husband that pushes her towards it. She has this travel agency that she really is. She's more of like a travel writer, and it's kind of this big agency. She doesn't want to move to the suburbs. She loves her city life. She loves being able to travel, all of this. It seems like her husband is kind of pushing her towards this whole, kind of normal, mundane suburbs, kids, home, stability, where she's looking for more of an adventure. And she gets, you get tastes of it in this film where she's like, mocking that pregnant women all look fat, and she's trying to hide in a couple of different outfits to not show off her pregnant body. And then she just seems so over so many of the people that she has to deal with. You can tell that she has prenatal depression, and then she also has postpartum depression. But her husband is just not there for her at all. She does not appear to be like a loving mother or be, interested in being a mother. I guess this was Lionel Shriver's kind of exploration on whether she wanted to be a parent or not. And by the time she got done writing this, she came to the conclusion that she doesn't want to be a parent. And I think this is possibly one of the strongest arguments that I've kind of come up with for why I wouldn't like to be a parent as well. It is definitely a strong fear of mine. But there's many things that they kind of do with just the framing. So the scene right after she gives birth to Kevin, you've got John C. Reilly sitting with the baby. They're completely on the other side of the frame, completely separated from her. They kind of mirror that in almost every shot that's her and Kevin from there on. Kevin's on one side of the frame, far over to one side, and then she's on the opposite side. They're never just next to each other. There's never something maternal. There's never, comfort that she's offering him. She finally finds respite from his crying by a jackhammer. There's so many little things that they just kind of show you as like a little glimpse, or when they get to the next phase where it's after Kevin's incident, where she just has her eggs smashed. That's a much bigger scene in the actual book. Like if there's any scenes that you liked in this, they're really expanded upon and they're really fleshed out in the novelization.
Does it kind of like show like how rough she is with things, and kind of like is a message of like the eggs as being like the child she raised, being just shattered.
Yeah. So really what that is a parent of one of the kids that her kid killed. They happen to see her in the store. So they just smash her eggs. And then she, decides that she deserves this. She raised this monster. She is responsible for this. Mm-hmm. So she is now deserving this punishment. And she seems to be kind of a glutton for this. And then that's why she eats this frittata at home, and it kind of goes more into her mindset and what's going on with that. But the way that she's picking eggshells out of that, it's exactly the same way that they film Kevin biting his fingernails and lining them up the exact same way. He is in many ways her exact duplicate. She is what causes that. He has almost the same hairstyle. They stand almost the same, the way that she is mocking. So she's a lot more despicable of a character in the actual novel. So where she's kind of talking about how the pregnant women all look fat and stuff like that, she has kind of constant comments like that going on. She keeps trying to get the kid to call her mommer. And she just seems to be like one of those hipster type people that seems to be trying way too hard, trying to be affected way too hard. So one of the scenes that's really fleshed out in the book is when she finally decorates her room with all the maps from all the different places. Again, this is supposed to represent kind of her travel agency that she has, the breadwinning part of the family. Also, she is the one who's making most of the money in the family. So Kevin has one toy that he likes, and that's it. It's a squirt gun. So she then leaves him for quite a while to go deal with business and leaves him with the squirt gun in there with like all her inks and everything. It kind of is way more impactful in the novel, the way that it just kind of shows it really quickly in a montage, and then it's her smashing his toy. That doesn't have nearly the same impact as it's literally the only toy that this very messed up kid likes. And then because she's angry, she just destroys it. It really hits on a whole different level. I don't know how I would put that on film. I think this depiction really works wonders, but it doesn't go into quite as much of how she's telling these events of how this kid is evil from the beginning. Mm-hmm. But can you really trust her? Like, she is the one who's so self-absorbed, who would actually say to the kid, like, I want to be in France, but instead I'm stuck here with you. Like, just she is what would cause that. And then by the end, there really is a change in the character. But it is a powerful depiction. There's just so much going on. And I've heard a bunch of people kind of criticize the music choices in this. I thought it was so damn impactful. I really enjoyed it. But there's a lot more that it goes into. There's a lot more evil that Kevin does. There's a lot more evil that she does to Kevin. But it really does kind of come off from her perspective that he is evil. And then it goes into the favoritism that she has for her daughter and how much she actually wanted the daughter, how much she favors the daughter. You get glimpses of it in this, but I don't know. I just, from seeing how that can affect a kid too, she just is completely treating these kids completely different from the get-go. And it's just, I love this depiction of it, but if you want even more of this, the novel is so much deeper. A lot of people have kind of said like this is a C compared to the novel being an A. It's just, it works on a couple different levels and just fleshes everything out. I'm not sure if this is a world you want to go deeper into, but it really does.
I do.
I can't recommend
I'll definitely read the novel, but
Me too.
mean, yeah, but I do have to say, just
I get that, with fans who are always, again, big fans of the novels
Mhm.
and stuff, but I always try to like detach it a bit. Like obviously they couldn't have went into everything in the film, but would they at least show
That being said,
glimpse?
I can't think of a better depiction of this. Like,
Yeah,
Tilda
they
Swinton is
depicted it
absolutely
pretty
perfect as this
much
character.
perfectly
The
there.
child
Yeah.
actors are great. Both of them, like both the toddler one and the like 4 to 6 year or 6 to 8-year-old one. Both of those kid actors are quite amazing. And then, Ezra Miller, I don't hate him in this one. Like it actually seems like that. But that kid also gets so much more annoying in the actual novel. Like they kind of show it and stuff where like his shirt doesn't quite fit, but he intentionally wears shirts that are like 3 sizes too small for him, like ones that are for children, but instead it goes into it like he is just as affected as his mom is. He has just as many whatever you want to call them, like affectations that really make him one of those, oh, you're really trying hard type people. But every part of it is just amplified. I can't say enough about this. It just seems like such an amazing adaptation of this, and I think they really got the spirit of this. Yeah, I love this film for being such a dark thing. Sorry, I guess the other thing that I want to talk about is the book also goes much deeper into the violence and stuff. Like in this, it just looks like the father and the daughter just kind of got a couple of arrows. It goes into it like he really tortured them, it sounds like in the book, and then
Yeah,
it
I'm sure they
really
couldn't
goes
have
into
done it
kind
on
of
screen
the events.
here, but yeah.
For sure. It's not something that you necessarily need to see, but like, I don't know, you can really see the hatred that he has for his sister. The fact that she's like pinned to the target, not just like, oh, she has an arrow and is on the ground. There's a lot more going on with this. And then he meticulously planned out every part of it. He did this, like, I think it was either the week before or the day before his 16th birthday, because he knew that he couldn't be tried as an adult. And like, it kind of goes deeper and deeper into his planning, where it kind of just touches on the surface of that in the movie. He is an evil person, but what the mother does as well is also evil. She does break his arm out of frustration with him, and it plays out again, like the scene is much more fleshed out in the book, but very much the same. Just it's a tough read, but it's really powerful. I don't know if another book has quite
Yeah.
affected me quite like that, but
Well, I'll
yeah, I think it's a
definitely
great
read it.
adaptation.
Me
I'll
too.
read
I
it
will
when I
read
get the
it.
chance. Yeah, for sure. But again, I will just say again, I get what people are saying with like not adapting everything in it, but I do think they at least, as you said, like got glimpses of at least like one thing of like everything in the book, and there was no way they could get everything from the book into the movie, and with certain like stuff being more violent and everything. So I'm fine with what they did there. There were a couple things you said that I do wish they could have maybe added, and it could have been pretty simple, like the thing with like the water gun. I guess they could have just had the scene,
Expanded on.
expand the scene by something, by also, like when they were talking about that, just you could have a line saying, "Oh, my toys are oh, those toys are stupid," and then she could just say something like, "Well, you like that water gun a lot. I can see that." While it shows a shot of him holding it, and then that can just quickly like portray like how that's the only toy he likes, and then after she comes in and sees all that, just quickly show like 5 seconds more of a scene of her grabbing it and like smashing it with her foot or something, and then cut into the next scene, like just something like that that could maybe expanded on more with it. But other than that, I mean, I do think they at least did one thing for everything, so that's enough. But also, while they might, not have shown everything from the novel, again, I do like to try to judge things individually. And what I can say is like the film also like dove into things and messages that maybe the book didn't, but either way that the movie did, and kind of like added onto it for like this, adaptation of it that I thought worked amazingly. So, I'm kind of cool if I can then forgive, the things it might have missed from the book.
For sure. And me too. I'm not trying to say, like this doesn't, it's just, if you liked this, the book is like that and more. But that being said, I think it's strong adaptation.
Me too, I will read it.
Did you hate it, Multi?
No, I enjoyed it. And I will start before I go in depth with my review, I will throw what Cole left in the private chat. That's hilarious. His nickname for the movie is "We need to talk about birth control." So accurate, bro. It's like, you 8 kids, don't make kids, please. Thank you. Message received and delivered. So I enjoyed it. So it's not like it's not one of my favorite movie among all, but I enjoyed it. That was a fun experience with a lot of interesting aspect. Um, I do think it's a better movie than what I experienced as a viewer, but the gap is not that big. So I liked it, but if that was just my opinion, that would be just the average movie. But I do notice it's a good movie. Now I will dive deep into it. I'm so messy today, man. I'm so tired. Working day shift is hell on earth. Anyhow,
Coffee.
coffee. So I cannot sleep anymore after that. Great idea. My
You don't
first
have to
issue.
if you drink enough of it.
First issue would be pacing. The first 30 minutes took forever. It could have been trimmed down. I feel like in the first half an hour, that was a bit rough, and I was like, "Eesh, will I get hooked by the movie?" Fortunately, I was, but it took me like that half an hour to get into it and be like, you know what? I enjoy the premise of it. Um, Now the next stop would be the office job of the main character had the office job the main character had in prison day wasn't needed. The only scenes in prison day I would have kept would be when the mother visit her son in jail. And I haven't read the novel, so maybe the novel made the present better and more relevant, but I feel like in
They
this movie,
do. Again, it kind of fleshes it out, and it so you know that the kid's in jail, but you don't know what it's for, and like it kind of leaves that as a mystery that it unravels later. But you know that she's going to visit him in jail, so you know she did something to get him to there. But I don't know. I think it adds so much more. So that's the other part that they kind of cut out was, so she owned this big travel agency firm, and also I believe they did travel writing as well. And then she finds this disc that says "I love you" in her kid's room when she's like looking through everything. She puts it in her computer, which takes out every computer at her office,
virus.
and it bankrupts the company, and the entire
Oh,
company goes under. And then she had to sell off her house to deal with the trial and lawyers for the kid. So she's basically left with nothing. She has nothing going on. She lives in this tiny house, and then she's being harassed. Um, but that's why she needs like a job, and it's an extreme step down from like the company that she was running. It's runtime, so you got to choose what parts stay, what parts don't. But that has a little bit more impact. The really horrible job that she gets in the present day.
I need to read this novel. Now, again, I feel like present day sucked. In this movie, I was hooked by all of the flashbacks, but the moment it was present day, if it wasn't a jail scene, I hated the shit. I was like, sorry about that. I was like,
It's just supposed
why?
to show you how much she's suffering, and she just feels like she deserves it.
Yeah, but the past really hints at her being an awful person, and I'm fine with that. But then the present, they want to make her look like a victim. So I feel like two message went in two different ways, and that's why I didn't like at all that present day stuff. But again, I didn't read the novel, but now I want to. But yeah, like present day, just keep the present storyline. I don't need the rest. Like the other freak at work saying, "Oh, you're not beautiful anymore" and such. I'm like, okay, that's believable. That's something that could happen, but why was it in the movie? Why did I watch this? I don't care about these characters in present day. I want to see what happened with Kevin and how she messed up so hard. Like that's really my viewing experience. Again, um,
You mean with the people at work, you didn't want to see those scenes?
yeah.
Well, I mean, I
So
think
What
it
about
just
when she gets
shows,
assaulted, like right
yeah,
outside
like
of
it
the
just shows
office,
like the
her smiling?
aftermath and all the reactions. I think it's like important, but also stuff like that. It kind of
I
shows
don't
like
need that.
how, I don't know, it just shows like how, since they know all that about her, it's like, I don't know, it's like assholes like that. It's like if they,
It felt
it,
like a filler plot B. I didn't like. That's how I perceive most of the present. Like again, the only scenes I would have kept in present are all
well,
of
it
the
kind of
jail
just shows
scene.
how she thinks she's getting her life back on track again, but then, just falls apart with like stuff like that, happening, and just again shows like, that if somebody's up being as somebody who's an asshole, who it's like, then they know that about somebody, and then they don't get their way, then they'll just like throw that at them.
Maybe I would have kept like some of the parts early, so you're like, okay, her life sucks now. Maybe this I would have kept, but I don't know. Looking back, I really don't like that present stuff. But these are my only two issues. So present day and the first half an hour was rough. Outside of that, Kevin was entertaining. The music, I liked it. Well shown how Eva lost her mind. The family dynamic was entertaining. I liked it. The son being aware he's not loved is heartbreaking, and how this turned him into a monster was endearing a lot. Mother and son, they was endearing, so they called at some point something like Mother and Son Day or something. And I was like, oh, maybe she's trying to do something and maybe she's trying to change in something. But yeah, the family breaking apart was sad. Well shown how Kevin went on the murderous spree. I hope it's YouTube friendly. I don't think so, but I hope. The reveal of the son ending the father and sister lives was sad and well made. I just enjoyed that aspect where it shows how bad motherhood and how parents can affect their kids. It's just well made and well shown in this movie, and this is one of the highlights. And maybe if I didn't add the background I do have, that movie wouldn't have it where it did. So maybe it would have missed the mark, but it didn't. For me, it was a it. Like, if your parents suck, your life will suck. It's as simple as that. It's sad to say, but that's the truth. Be good parents, and you will give more chance to the kid. Um, so I don't have much more to say. That's the sad part. Like, I was engaged throughout the movie. I really enjoyed it. And now I think it's the perfect moment to share our grade, except if someone wants to add more to this. I guess not. So when it comes to me, just in terms of entertainment and enjoyment, I would say this movie sits around a 7 or 8. However, just like there will be blood, this movie, um, I feel like is better than what I give credit. So I gave a 9.5. This is a far better movie than my experience with it, and I'd place that movie above There Will Be Blood. And maybe it's just my bias because I actually enjoyed watching this one, or maybe it's really the story and the characters. I don't know. What about you, Cole? What would be your grade out of 10?
8.5.
And what about you? Great.
Yeah, I think I completely mirror Cole's grid. I think 8.5. It's really good adaptation, and I think there's some masterfully done things that they're able to do through montage, and they're really able to do with the framing. Like, again, having Kevin on one side of the frame, and then Lionel, or excuse me, Tilda Swinton, Eva Kachatourian on the other side of the frame, and they just keep mirroring that through the childhood when she's throwing the ball to him, to when they're in the park, like every single part of it. It's very awesome. And they keep doing this kind of theme of every time there's red in there, it's to equal grief. And it's really kind of amazing what they were able to do. There's a little bit of it that I wish they'd gone a little bit further, but they also had an extremely low budget on this one. I think there couldn't have been a better adaptation given the price that they had on this, how much funding they had. I think it's amazing. I wanted a little tiny bit more, so I go 8.5 on it.
Okay. This closes off this topic. Again, I liked it. That was enjoyable. That was a good experience. The next stop would be The Father. Oh my. This one.
Oh my.
That's a good movie, but I hated so much the experience again. I
Gray, please help me out here.
Yeah. So I didn't know anything about this one going in, and I absolutely love this film. I thought it was amazing. Again, the way that they're able to actually like kind of put you in the mind of somebody who's having memory issues, whether it's Alzheimer's or dementia, that constant confusion, this really like a labyrinth of a movie. I love how they were able to use the same set but decorate it different ways, paint it different ways to kind of give you that same feeling that he's having of not knowing where you're at from moment to moment, not knowing who's going to be there, not knowing exactly where there is. It is just masterfully done. It brought up a ton of emotions. I kind of went through this with my grandfather. I'm kind of currently going through this with my grandmother. It really kind of put me in their shoes. I could only imagine what they're going through, where, your experience is not consistent from minute to minute. And there's a lot of things that they keep asking for the first time in their experience, but you can tell it's kind of getting on the people around them that, this isn't the first time he's asked about the watch. This isn't the first time this has been brought up, but it's new to him. This is really powerful. I think every performance in here is amazing. I don't know how I didn't really hear about this before. I think Hopkins is just like amazing. And, I'm blanking on her name. Olivia Colman was just awesome as Anne. And then the confusion and the way that they're able to kind of bring in the other actors and kind of seamlessly flip them into either previous roles or these new roles, and you're kind of discovering it and unraveling the mystery at the same time. I don't know. I think this is just masterfully done, and the cinematography as well is just, it draws you in. There's a lot of movement of the camera, but it's very focused, and then when he gets confused, it does seem like it's able to pan out a little bit, but at the same time, it keeps it very claustrophobic on Anthony Hopkins' experience. I can't say enough about this, as well as the sound design on it is quite amazing. It is based off of a play, so it does feel a little bit smaller, but I think that's what this story needs. He is looking at the outside world, but he is very much confined to this set. I just think it's masterfully done, and if Multi disagrees, he's wrong again.
So we got another case where I do think it's a good movie, but I didn't like it at all. And I think it did well what it tried to do, but I didn't like it because it was like an hour and a half, but I feel like you could literally cut like half an hour because there are so many repeats.
Why?
There are any scenes where it's just some young flu, but a new character or another event, and they just remind you, he's losing his shit.
Though. Like it wasn't
I get
completely
it, like,
the same scenes. There was new stuff in each like moment, and that
there
added
are
more
moments,
to it. Like, but you need kind of that repeat and stuff.
It's fine repeating stuff. Like I mentioned that like when I was an hour into it, I started noticing like they keep repeating, but like we got different characters of, and that's fine, that added something, but I hated this. Like an hour and a half, and they told a story that could have been told under like an hour. Under an
Well, I
hour.
disagree. I think every scene was needed, and it shows just the different levels and just the different their mental states of like dealing with him throughout the film, and it also just like pieces together the story and like each scene when you start to put the pieces together of like the time lapse and everything. Like I don't think this could this if you cut out any runtime in this film, I think it would have damaged it heavily.
You could cut easily like a good like 3 or 4 or 5 times where he kept like telling, "Oh, I'm a dancer," or "Oh, this or that." It's just repeat. It's the same day with new characters around. That's the movie. Same days, new character.
Yeah,
Um,
I completely disagree. It wasn't really the same,
but again, like the idea is, oh, the guy is confused, and it's affecting his daughter, and he becomes worse and worse, and that's really hard. And because of that, his daughter cannot really have a relationship. He is confused,
That's
and
but she does have a relationship. That's kind of the whole thing. She got married and went off to France.
yeah, but that was by the end. So, but for a good chunk of the movie, you shouldn't
Well,
add
his situation, like he starts at his own apartment, and that's putting a strain on her marriage. And then he
Yeah.
moves into their apartment, and then that ends their marriage. Like it appears that that is the strain that caused her to no longer have a marriage. Like whether it is him specifically or if that exacerbated things. And then from there, she's alone for 5 years, and then she finally meets somebody else, but has to move to France. So I don't know, man. Like you kind of need all that. Like it's a whole bunch of different time frames. There, it's not the same scene, but he's in that same mind frame. He keeps pulling these memories from his long term and kind of thinks he's there, but it keeps showing that he's not. I don't know. It's pretty masterfully done. I gotta agree with Cole on this one that they're all needed.
But yeah, again, like the daughter's death and how it was depicted, like the sister of the main character, it was entertaining. The actor did a solid job, but again, my big issue, I really feel like half an hour could have been cut. Maybe I exaggerate a bit with half an hour, maybe like 20 minutes, but I still feel like they could have cut stuff because after an hour, I was getting the point. Like even earlier than that, like after half an hour, 40 minutes, I was like, okay, the guy is confused, and I will watch that for the next hour because that was like really
but
fast.
there's
That I cannot
far
notice this
more
now.
than that. Like I don't
The
know how
the
that's all you
ending,
get out of it.
the ending when he gets sent to that house and such, that was probably one of the best parts of it because now they add that new nurse. That's kind of bad because maybe he's beating the crap out of him, but that's up to interpretation because he's confused and you cannot really trust uh what's going on. So we know he got hit by someone, but he's so confused that you don't know if it's the previous husband that may have created that rift or if it's the nurse at the new place. Um, that was one of the best parts. Any interpretation on that, Cole?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is up for interpretation. I think by the end of the film, though, it kind of shows like what was going on, and yeah, the hidden stuff was her ex-husband in a later scene, as they showed, from whether that was the past, present, or whenever, and then the modern day stuff. It just shows like the is where those two characters came from, basically. But yeah, I mean, again, it's all mystery that you just try to piece together, and you still aren't gonna get the full thing ever. It's kind of just one of those films. Kind of have to just try to follow along. But yeah, I mean, that's the point of it, to be in his shoes, basically. And I think it just portrays it amazingly. But yeah, I just really love this film here. I mean, do you have more to say, Multi?
Maybe two last things. Like the lead actress was great; she did amazing, and um, the new caregiver, like the young one, like before he was sent to the nursing home, she was also likable. Like very small screen time, and you were like, oh, she sound and seem like a cool person, you know. So yeah, again, I think it's a good movie, but I wasn't a fan of it at all. Better than There Will Be Blood for sure. But yeah,
Your ranking
that's
is so strange. Did you at least pick up on like? So I know you're saying like a lot of the scenes didn't need to be done, but did you pick up like the background, like essentially like his continuing state of disheveledness?
it got worse as the movie went on.
Yes. So where
Um,
would you take that out and still have that progression go?
well, there are many scenes early in the movie where it's just a setup to like I'd say like when it's the third or fourth time we get to see the same day like unfolding with new character. This is where I would have speed up the story a bit. So maybe like around half an hour you could like cut a scene or trim down scenes. I don't know. Like it's really it's hard for me to tell because again I I get what guys are saying and I think most of it is important, but I strongly believe, despite that, the same story could have been told within an hour, or
Mm,
maybe an hour and a bit more, like an hour and 10 minutes or something.
What feature length? So first off, feature length generally means it's over an hour and a half. But like, can you think of any movie that was ever released that is an hour and 9 minutes?
Um, well, Angel Egg was an hour, but I don't know how it's considered. I know it's considered a movie, Angel Egg, but
yeah,
that
well,
was an
feature
hour
length
and
is
like
technically over 45 minutes, but
okay.
when it comes to like theater releases, it's like an hour and a half or like 80 minutes or so.
So 80 minutes, so an hour and 10 minutes would work.
I don't know about that.
That'll be
Again, just
70.
yeah, again, just every scene in this film just has a purpose and shows like every stage of it, and it isn't the same thing every time. We do learn so many new things in each scene and just a progression. Like I don't think it's really the same thing at all. I think there's just it's new in like every scene. And just again, it's just another thing where you experience just like in his shoes where it's supposed to sort of like make you feel like tiring at the end of like how this keeps happening and feeling bad how it's just not working out, and then put him in there just because how it keeps happening with him being in this state, and when you think like it might change with the new assistant coming, but then it ends up being a different one than he imagined from probably past years before. It's just like it's all kind of a part of it, and I think it just works
The other thing,
masterfully.
I feel like it started degrading, if we can call it that way, around like the 40-ish minute mark or 45-minute mark, but I feel like you could have started degrading earlier, like 20 to 30 minute ish, because
Well, he
that point
started it from the beginning. That was the early
Yeah,
stages of it.
you might have missed some of that because that's the whole deal about like the time jumps and the fact that you think that this would be a linear progression, but it's not, and the memories just don't seem to be working or clear. But I think it would be really reductive to say that it's the same scene that just happened over and over again. Would you say the same for like, I don't know, like comic book movies? Is it always the same scene? Like bad guy becomes threat, hero becomes aware of it, hero fights bad guy, day is saved. Like is
it's
every
very
superhero
different.
movie the same scene?
No, we have different dialogue and like different character moment, but
Yeah, well,
here
you could say the
Man,
same
there
here.
is 100% different dialogue in every single scene. He thinks that he knows like where it's attached in time, and it's not. And every character keeps changing. every once in a while his daughter is there, but it's very inconsistent.
Yes, and we
Is
learn
actually
something
there.
new every time, like the dinner scene, and then how it just like goes in reverse. Like that was incredible to witness. It's like, how was that the same
That was
as
like
any others?
the
And
reverse scene you mentioned. It was actually a scene I liked. That thing, I'm with you on that, but um, and the scene he got hit by someone and it's confused and up to interpretation was also good. But again, I still stand by what I said. I feel like you could cut parts
wow.
of it.
Okay, well, as Gray always says, it's okay to be wrong, but at least we know your point of view. But yeah, and also that scene I love where it's like he's dreaming or whatever about the daughter and what happened to her and with the painting and stuff. But then he wakes up and he just like had this dream, and but he still didn't realize it was her. It's just like it kind of looked like her, and not realizing it was her still because he's just that far gone. So like I thought that scene was just incredible as well.
And just the subtlety, like Olivia Colman's like just her response to like the father asking about her sister yet again, and you can just see that this is like the 1,000th time she's been asked about her poor dead
Mhm.
sister, and she's had to explain it to him over and over. Just so much impact in every one of these like new scenes, and I do stress new scenes, but yeah, it's an awesome film. I'm sorry you didn't have the same experience
Yeah,
that I had, Multi, because this was powerful, man.
I didn't like it,
yeah,
but I
this
know
was
it's a good
powerful
movie.
for me. Yeah, and the performances in this for me are just again perfect. Loved Olivia Colman in this. I loved Anthony Hopkins in this. Yeah, like this came out in right. What year was it again? It
2020.
was 20. Okay, yeah. It forgot it was in the COVID years, right? Yeah, been a little
Yeah.
while. Damn. But yeah, really loved it when it first came out. Yeah, it was like one of my favorite films of the year. Uh, and yeah, this had some controversy though. Basically, at the time, kind of stupid controversy by morons. So basically, it was a pretty competitive race, and Anthony Hopkins won the Oscar that year for this. But everybody was complaining that because they wanted Chadwick to win it, and because he was deceased, that or even like Rami Malek and sorry, not Rami Malek, sorry, what was his name again? God, I can't believe I just called him Rami Malek. What was his name again? Sorry, one moment. Right, Riz Ahmed. Right, yeah.
Oh, right.
The master actor from Venom. Yes. Anyway, so yeah, but I think that's like kind of stupid though. Like, I mean, Chadwick was amazing as well, but both of them were amazing. Whoever won, like nobody should have gotten upset about it and called it rigged. But yeah, and Anthony Hopkins in this is just like absolute masterful performance, easily my favorite of the year, and yeah, very deserved for like the oldest Oscar winner ever now for like an acting category. Just incredible portrayal here. Did a perfect job. And yeah, just the whole story and how it goes through with the writing and the editing and filmmaking and everything. It's just amazing. Like there's really only one weakness that I would maybe have with this, and that's the music at points could have maybe been a bit better. Could have been maybe in certain scenes not used the same music loop, and maybe the scenes would have been more impactful. But that's
Could be. It
very
still gets
minor issue.
really powerful at the end, though, like where it gets kind of chaotic, but like even more powerful strings.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. I do like
but
the score, but I hear what you're saying. It did use the same thing multiple
oh yeah, I
times.
did like the
Now,
score. Just yeah, but yeah,
now
it
that
just could have been maybe a bit better like that.
now that you mentioned that, I will admit the music was on point. I liked it, and the sound effects were also
Mhm.
good. So again, good movie. I didn't like. Move on now.
Yeah, incredible though. But yeah, I mean, Gray pretty much said everything else. So yeah, I'll pretty much stop there, I guess. But yeah, but incredible film, and also yeah, the scene where she just imagines strangling him, God, and then again the endings, the whole ending, yeah, just really made me tear up when I watched it. Like even when I've rewatched it like 3 times, and every time it still makes me tear up. Just the it just incredible performance there, and just the tone of that scene at the end, just and everything we've been through. Just masterful there. Like one of my favorite movie endings ever, I would say.
Well, for me, this was a 5 or a 6 in terms of entertainment and enjoyment. But
Wow.
as a movie, because I'm a critic and I only had one issue, 9.7. Near perfection. What about you, Cole?
9.5.
What about you, Gray?
I just think it's masterfully done. I do understand that it's based off of, I think, like a 2012 play, but
Yeah,
just the way that
and
they were
the
able.
same guy directed and wrote it, and then he won the Oscar for screenplay, I believe. And then he tried adapting another one of his plays, which was The Sun, with like Hugh Jackman, Anthony Hopkins, and others, and that ended up being received pretty poorly, sadly, and called like sappy, melodramatic, and not having like no clue on like depression in teens and everything. And because he didn't have like a gimmick like the father, although he still could have like used certain things, but he didn't. So yeah, it was kind of not received well, unlike this. But yeah,
That's too bad. I think because it was a play before, he was really able to kind of take full advantage of this set. And I don't know, the set's almost a character in this. And I love the confusion and again, the puzzle like way that everything is kind of put together and how it's really making the audience do the work for it. To me, it's a 10 out of 10. Like there's no part of it that I'd say this needs to change or this could be improved. To me, it just impacted me so hard. And yeah, I really like the father. I can see why he won and deserved.
Yeah. So a bit of a tangent quickly. Cole, do you think you will have time to watch Resident Alien so you can send me your notes for Saturday?
oh yeah, I will. I'll watch all the episodes afterwards. I'll just keep that up until it's done.
Perfect.
I don't
Uh,
know. Like I'll be watching like other shows like Invincible and stuff. I don't know if I'm just gonna have as much time to like write notes down for it though for
the
shows
others,
like
that's
that
fine.
afterwards. But
The
yeah,
the other, that's fine. It's more like Resident Alien because we covered the first 2 seasons and now season 3 is on. That's a bit more
and there's
important.
other
And
shows we covered that will come on, and I'll
yeah,
try to make sure to do those at least. And again,
yeah,
Invincible's one of them, but I think it's something though that enough other people have seen where I could
that's
maybe
the other
just skip doing
reason. Yeah,
it. I mean, not
yeah,
that I won't. Like I will be watching it as the episodes come out because I love the show. I just don't know if I'll have time to quickly try to like type up a review, but maybe I will.
yeah. That's fine. Again, Resident Alien. I actually liked episode 3. That's my favorite episode this season. I think it's the best by far. But yeah,
Mhm.
um, I guess we can move on to the last movie this week, Poor
Yeah.
Things. And it's sad that Alex chose the movie over us. It's so sad. We wanted his
Yeah,
opinion.
but now he did. Well, no, you will get his opinion actually. So
Oh,
here's
he
the thing, though.
sent you the notes. He sent you the notes.
I believe so, yes. But okay, so here's the thing, though. He was gonna send me more, but unfortunately, he had like an asthma attack or something, so he didn't send us more. But he did here. I just need to try to like set it up though, because I don't know
Yeah.
exactly how to. So one of you can maybe go in the meantime, or I can maybe go, I guess.
I will start on that one while you search, and I hope Alex will be fine. Please, ill well. I know what's asthma. I also have asthma. That's crazy. Like I
You
feel
said
like
heal well, didn't you? I heard ill will, and I was like,
I-
whoa, cold,
ill,
man.
ill well, ill well. Is it clear enough? Ill well.
Yes, I'm sorry. That was me.
Okay,
That's not
I figured out how to do it now. I think here we go.
Okay. Um.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is his thing. Try to turn it up more, I guess.
We don't hear anything.
You don't hear anything?
No, we don't.
Really? Wow. Hold on. So there's. Okay, let me try to. Okay, this is. I've never had this issue with screen sharing. If it's always been other people, my audio
Maybe
screen share.
upload it like unlisted.
Oh
And
yes, that is true. So,
that's
but
what we did. And yeah, that's what we did in the past for Window to Our Mind. So upload it unlisted, and then we can screen share the YouTube tab. So I will start on portings, because usually it's Gray or you that starts. So for once, to mix up things, I will start, and I will say that I was surprised because the premise of it, I was like, I'm not quite sure. It was black and white. I was like, I don't think I will like this experience. But then I did like it. Um, I was hooked, and I thought that was a solid movie with great humor and a lot of very different message. And Emma Stone, I'm biased. Like, I think she is one of my favorite actresses out there. I think I will like anything she's in. Like, I enjoyed La La Land more than the usual musical because of her. Usually I truly hate musical and such, but this musical I don't remember liking it that much, but I didn't hate it, and that's an achievement in itself. So coming into it, I was like, maybe I will enjoy Poor Things only because she's there. But actually, she's one of the reason I liked it. But there's a bit more. Uh, it feels like this story is about a girl growing up, and like you mentioned it yesterday in our top tier list, but it's like about emancipation. So there's a lot of empowerment going on in the story. Let's empower the woman, and that's well made and well tackled. I do think the feminist message in this movie is far stronger than Barbie. Like,
Can I ask you about that then? So, what part is empowering?
the fact that she realized, um like, she was with a guy, and that guy was a bad influence, and like it was empowering for her to like leave that guy behind and just do her own thing, and then
But then
kind
she was immediately taken over by a possible like vampire madam.
of but she still made money, like, um now I don't necessarily agree with the method she used, but that's one way to do it. Like, if you want money, like, do what you can do. Do I agree with everything in the movie? I don't, but I enjoyed the way they approached it. If that's clear enough. um like, when she was broke, basically, she sold her body, and I feel like a lot of people would if they could. So that's something very accurate. And by the end, like, she stands up um in front of the other jerk, and on top of that, like, throughout this movie, she kind of do her own things, and she learned by experience. My thoughts are so messy because I didn't expect questions like that, so I didn't wrote notes whatsoever on that. But um like, she's about, okay, you're telling me something, I will trust you, but I will try on my own if I see we come to the same conclusion. That's the kind of person she is, and that's based on the logic she was built on. And that's a great way, I guess, because don't listen always to people. You can trust people, but make up your own conclusion. You don't need someone else to whisper to your ears. And I think that's some of the things she does, because, like, the at the end, just before, like, she gets taken by the guy that previously shot her, she was on that church, and the guy was coming at her and was like, "Oh, come with me." And the guy, the I say the guy, but there's like many guys, but the catch is I don't really remember their names. I remember their characters, but not their names. That's the sad part. But the good people were like, don't go with him, and she went with them to see by herself if they were right, and she ended up learning that they were right. So she has agency a lot. She has a lot of agency throughout the movie. And
Ooh.
oh, you disagree? You think she doesn't have agency? Oh, that's interesting.
My biggest problem with the movie.
I did think she had, because if she didn't go with the other jerk, there would be no movie. So that's agency, because she was like, oh, he wants me to go with him to travel. I will go with him to travel. So she took that decision. She was interested to explore the world. And when the other one was passed out or something, she walked around, she met new people. The same thing on the boat. On the boat, it's the same thing. Like, the guy was doing the poker things, and she decided, you know what, I will go talk to other people. And she became friend because she went to talk to other people. So she forged her own path. But yeah, maybe I'm crazy. Cole, any thoughts on that? Like, every decision she took did affect directly the movie, the plot.
I agree, but I don't think that she made any of the decisions. But I'll get into that when I get to mine. I don't want to interrupt yours, but I hear what you're saying, and I disagree.
So I only had two issues with this movie. The first issue would be the humor didn't land on the peace scene. That was really early in the movie, like when they were introducing her, and oh yeah, she is kind of nuts, like she is messy, and then she doesn't really speak. She just makes noise, and then she pees on the floor, and like, it's been overdone, that kind of jokes. It just didn't work or land for me, and I was like, if we will get that kind of humor the entire movie, I will tap out of it. But lucky us, this is not what we got the entire movie. We actually got good humor the rest of the movie, but that's really the first time I was like, and that's also the last time, because my next issue would be plot convenience. Bella bumping into the villain, plotting with the other villain. Oh, that was
Who's the villain?
at the
Which
very
one are you
end.
calling the villain?
This one I remember what I referred to at the very end. So basically, she was walking around the castle, and then it's just very convenient that she passed by one of the villain talking to the doctor. Oh yeah, I will incapacitate her. I will, like,
You mean she's imprisoned in this house and she can't leave, and it's convenient that when somebody
no,
visits,
it's
she might
convenient
want to
that,
like eavesdrop on, hey, why is this doctor in our home?
yeah,
Oh, he's, I don't know, man.
that's plot
Okay,
convenient.
I don't think that's quite a plot convenience, but fair enough.
Because if she didn't arrive at that second, at that moment, she wouldn't have eavesdropped, as you called it, and she wouldn't
Well,
know.
okay,
And
if the
maybe
lawyer
she would have
if the
been
lawyer didn't
deleted.
show up and didn't get nosy as to whether or not this person exists and just made the contract, this movie also never would have happened. Like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that you could do that it's like, no, this is a plot point. I think the plot point is that she overhears that, but
That's
fair
plot
enough. You can
convenience
call
for
that
me.
convenient, but I don't know if anyone would agree with you.
Um, so yeah, these are my two only issues, and it's also a movie about, like, someone that is innocent that lose their innocence at some extent, because she realized, dang, people are cruel. Like, they will delete me. um, yeah. Again, the humor was on point. Willem Dafoe character was so entertaining. Willem Dafoe is just great. I agree with you, Cole. Like, any movie he's in will be a success. That's how we do good movies. Um, so I don't have much more to say. I just enjoyed that movie.
Yeah,
Um,
so I don't know how to actually like kind of do it in video format. I don't know like what software to use or anything. So I sent you like the audio file. Maybe you can figure it out, Multi.
okay. Okay. So I'm looking to it right now. So in the
Yeah.
meantime, Dre, go ahead. I will try to
Okay.
figure out.
Yeah. So, poor things. I can definitely see the comparisons that people have made between this and Barbie, and I can understand why Multi kind of made that comparison. I can understand why people would appreciate this one more. Aesthetically, it's a different type of mood that he's going for, but it's every bit as beautiful. It's not that, over the top glossy fake plastic that like Barbie is, but there's a huge aesthetic value and just beauty in this. So Yorgos Lanthimos, I like a lot of his films, but some of his films are really trying for me, and I'm not the biggest fan of them. That being said, this dude has a vision, and when he works with cinematographers, like in this one, he was working with Robbie Ryan. He also worked with Robbie Ryan on The Favorite. Um, while I don't necessarily like that one a ton, what they were able to visually do in that one, and then they just push it even further with this one, is just like amazing. I think the hugest strength in this is the visuals. It is just so over the top and dreamlike and just amazing. The way that they're kind of able to get that is a very special lens. So there's this really cool interview with Robbie Ryan where he kind of goes through a couple of scenes and he talks about the lenses on this. But I guess Yorgos, the director, wanted something that's impossible, which is a 12 millimeter that zooms to like 150 millimeters. And that literally doesn't exist. Like you can't get anything like that to work. But they got close, which was like a 16.5 millimeter that goes to 110 millimeter zoom, which is just amazing. And that's why throughout this entire film, you keep seeing these zooms on people's faces, specifically Emma Stone's, because Bella Baxter is learning. And a lot of it is told through these developing shots that are done with zoom. And it is just amazing. The other thing that they were able to do is they were using these really, really wide lenses. So for The Favorite, they were able to use like a 6 millimeter wide, which was kind of the widest that they thought they could get. Um, and those are the same ones that they're using for this one, like specifically when they're walking. When Candles and Bella Baxter are walking by the water at the end. It keeps these really, really tight focus shots where everything is kind of bending around them. It's not quite fish-eyed, but it's definitely distorting the background. That's those 6 millimeter wide ones, and it is just so gorgeous. Visually, this is just stunning. There is a couple of problems that I have with it. One is visually, and one is through the plot. Um, Let me keep talking about the amazing part of it. They get these really amazing, vibrant colors that really seem dreamlike, and part of that is they're using this Ektachrome film, which is a color reversal film. It's specifically for like the Lisbon scenes. The way that it looks so amazing and the colors seem like wrong is it is this weird color reversal film. And then they use that to like inform the color and do the color grading for the rest of the film, even though they didn't necessarily use this particular film for everything in there. And it makes it so stunning and surreal. That mixed with just the way that he's able to get these impossibly wide shots, um, that just sets this whole atmosphere that is like amazing. I disagree with Multi when he's saying like some of the jokes didn't land, specifically the one in the beginning, the "we" thing. I think just Willem Dafoe's delivery of that, where he gets corrected by, I believe it's McCandles, if I'm remembering who else is in the scene. And then he immediately just acts as if he knows and then says it to the maid, we. I thought his delivery on that was awesome. It's a great, kind of tag on that scene. Like, yes, the urination wasn't funny, but his tag and his recovery and then his acting as if he knew exactly what was going on, I found that hilarious. Every performance in this is just amazing. Emma Stone, she couldn't have done this better. She kind of does Bella in like 5 stages, I believe, based off of kind of the hair. again, and her stages of development. It's amazing the way that she does this, but it leaves me with this weird question. And it's based off of how amazing her performance is. And it's kind of this question of agency. Willem Dafoe, I could not picture anybody else in this Frankenstein's monster, abused kid, neglectful father role. It is just amazing. And the comedy, again, that he's able to just excel with is amazing. Remy Youssef is awesome as McCandles. I'm trying to think of anyone else. Mark Ruffalo. I guess I hate a lot of actors. I usually hate Mark Ruffalo. I feel like this is the closest to Mark Ruffalo that he's ever played. I just think a lot of the time he comes off as just this pompous, full of himself person. And I haven't seen him depict a character like that on film. I think he really hit it out of the park with this. Not only do I love every bit of this performance, but like, my God, that dance part is just amazing. But he is an awesome, scummy character. And to even get like, the parody of Streetcar Named Desire and there, like the Bella screaming. Yeah, I got to give it up to Mark Ruffalo. Usually I do not like him and stuff, but he was amazing in this. And then just every supporting character is just goddamn perfect. Everything about this one, from the acting standpoint, is just great. I wouldn't change any of the performances. And then it is an adaptation from a very strange book as well. And the author's name is Gray. So, Alistair Gray. It seems like I would be set up to like love this thing. I like Barbie a little bit more. I can see the comparison between the two. Again, like it's kind of a coming of age, coming to yourself, kind of coming to your own desires, and then trying to navigate in this alien world. I can definitely see the comparisons. Where I think they divert for me is there's no real message behind this. And that's kind of some of the problems that I have with Yorgos's movies. He said it in a bunch of different interviews that like, and if you listen to like any of the actors who have been on like The Lobster or Killing of a Sacred Deer or anything, he doesn't have like one message behind it. It's kind of more, I wish I had his exact quote on it, but often it's not really about a message. It's kind of more like a reflection of a possible thing. Like scenes are reflections of possible like everyday slices of life. I can't remember exactly what his quote is on that, but I think that's my problem. I feel like there is kind of a message behind Barbie where when I'm looking at this one, I don't really get that message. So it starts off, this woman decides for herself, no, this is a very cruel world that I'm living in. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to raise a kid into this. This kid would also be under the same hell that I'm living in. So no, we're going to get rid of this. We're going to end this now. And then from there, every bit of agency is taken away from that woman. So I guess she's technically dead, but then her body is used, as like a meat puppet. I think it's, extremely comedic, and the acting is perfect from Willem Dafoe. When he says, like, what other choice did I have? The choice was obvious that I needed to put that baby's brain inside this body. Like, that's awesome. And I get it comedically, but that is like, there's zero agency in that. Instead of just, doing the right thing, like putting the baby up for adoption or trying to raise this baby. Instead, she now becomes this experiment, and then he takes all agency away from her. He essentially has her imprisoned. He's not really a good father. He's not raising her. He's not giving her any sort of restrictions, any sort of expectations of society, not, doing anything except for there's one scene where he's like reading a book to her. All right, that's a pretty shitty existence. And then, she expresses that she would like to go to the park. She would like to experience the outside world. And he can't do that because people will stare at him. He does have a nanny. He could get that person to help her go out to public and stuff, but he's not interested in that. And then from there, somebody else comes in, again, takes her agency away, tells her, I'm taking you away from this. Well, first she is going to be married pretty much against her will, where this contract that she'll never be able to leave the house. From there, this other person comes in and says, I'm going to take you to this faraway land. We're leaving now, secretly. She happens to tell her father, but it doesn't seem like it's her choice. Again, somebody else made that choice for her. She starts to have some agency, and then
Well,
she's really,
she says she wants to go, even if the guy doesn't approve. She says, "I want to explore the world," and she explains later on.
she's made it clear that she wants to see the world, but she didn't make it clear that she wants to go with this guy. This guy told her he's going, and then she's like, "I'm going with him." Secretly, I would make the argument that she doesn't have agency again. So we could get into the mental state of her as well. So if she's growing 1 inch of hair every 2 days, that would be about 3 months. So it doesn't give you the exact time frame, but we're talking about somebody who's under 10 years old, like mentally, probably at that point. I don't know that she had the free agency to say, "I'm going to go here" or whatever. But on top of that, it seems to be Ruffalo's kind of decision, as the Wedderburn is telling her she's going, she needs to leave Friday. And then from there, she tries to actually have some bit of freedom when she is in Lisbon. And from there, she literally gets put into a box and then taken on to this moving prison, essentially, a place that she can't get out of. You know, she meets some friends, gets some agency, but she's not super in control. It's like she's in control as much in this moving cell as she can be. I don't know. And then from there, you know, she again shows a little bit of freedom, but she had money all along. She didn't necessarily have to go under the spell of this madam, but she does. And then she lives there under somebody else's control again. And then from there, she ends up going back to her, house to then do this horrible surgery and then prolong another generation of this horrible abuse and tremendous. I
Well,
don't know.
she didn't add money because if I remember correctly, she gave away money because she was like, "Oh, these people are poor. Go give them that money." So she was kind of broke when she started
No,
working.
that wasn't her money. That was Wedderburn's. But I
Yeah.
was talking about the money that God sewed into her coat. She had that all along, so she
Oh,
never
okay, yeah.
had to be a hooker
Yeah.
if she didn't want to. She chose to. Okay, that's a little bit of agency. But then she's under the madam for that time. Then she goes back. She's going to be wed again, kind of for her will. She seems to like it because God's dying. Then she's under the agency of the general again. He's deciding that she can't go. And then she gets to come back. And then finally, she's going to inherit this, Frankenstein ish way of going about life that definitely seems less cruel than God's father was to him, but still very cruel. She's willing to, put a goat's brain in a human's body. That does not seem to be good, in my opinion. So I don't know. Again, so is this really what she would choose, or was she conditioned to this horrible life of essentially being Frankenstein's doctor on top of being Frankenstein's monster? That's kind of my thing. I don't know that there's necessarily a message in there. I think there are beautiful, beautiful depictions of everything. I think every bit of acting is on point. I just think for me, I wish there was a little bit more of a message. And then what really takes me audio, I love the score to this. It is so zany and perfect. And then the way that it's at times somewhat cartoonish, that's amazing. I just love that part of it. The one part that loses me is so out of nowhere, every once in a while, this vignetted porthole lens is used. And apparently it's like a 4mm optics. It's made for a 60mm film stock, but they're using 35. So when you put that weird lens on this 35, it makes a perfect porthole effect. And then it's super fisheyed as well. Well, I feel like when he doesn't know what to do with the scene, he just randomly throws that in there. And every time that porthole comes up, it just takes me out. I was trying to look for any interpretation of what the porthole scene means, or when that camera comes out, what it means.
I actually do think it kind of fit the scenes, what they were going for in those moments. I think more he's done it in The Favorite and other films, and I feel like when he did it in those films, it wasn't needed, and it did take me out of it because they were especially because
I
It was like a
agree when
complete
it's
period
that
piece.
super wide. So when it is like that 6mm super wide is what he was using in The Favorite. But this one's this weird 4mm one that it only is that porthole shot. Like when it's all black or except for that, like one center shot. That's this thing. And it's weird. Every time it did it, it took me out. So I was looking for any sort of interpretation of like what that actually means. And when I saw the cinematographer actually talk about it, he was saying every time we thought a scene should go a little bit further, he would just Yorgos would just yell out, "Get the 4mm." And as the actors would say on the set, if they're not getting the scene right, just get out the 4mm. It didn't seem to actually like portray anything special, like in the plot. It was just kind of, well, let's make this fight scene look a little zany. Let's get out the 4mm. I don't know. For me, every time it came up, it took me out. Not the fisheye shots, not the super wide ones, just that porthole thing. I don't know. That's a little miss for me, but maybe I'm being particular. I think it would have been so much stronger without that one particular thing. They use it about like 5 times that I can remember off the top of my head, and every time it took me out. But other than that, I think it's an amazing film. It's definitely more challenging than any film I saw last year. I think watching it a second time, I have way more of an appreciation for it. I think it would make my top 10 now. I'd probably get rid of the Guy Ritchie one, and I'd probably switch this one in there. But I think where it kind of misses for me, Barbie did hit. I can see the comparison. And I think I'm more in the Barbie camp, but I can understand why people would like this and why it would be someone's favorite film.
Okay, well, before we move on to Cole's take on it, I will try to play on the microphone because I cannot upload it.
So I do. Yeah, I'm sorry. I tried to like put it in there. I couldn't, but I did just want to say, unfortunately, I do have to kind of go right now in like 3 minutes.
Okay.
But, and also, so
okay,
I'm not
so
really
go
gonna
next.
say. Yeah, well, it's also because I'm not really gonna be able to say everything really I want to anyway, or like much at all, sadly, about this film. But yeah, it is my favorite film of the year, though, and I think Gray pretty much said everything perfectly of just everything I kind of love about it on just a filmmaking, writing, acting level as well, and then just so much subtlety and like minor details in just every scene and every performance in it that is just amazing. Like I really don't understand why people think Lily Gladstone was better this year, but whatever. Yeah, it's just beautiful shot film, great color palette and everything, and dreamlike music, sound, just visuals, everything, and just great, character progression from the main character, and just like how it's portraying, just Alex brings it up too as well in his theme, but how it kind of like portrays each male character as like a different like level of like controlling, or different type of controlling pretty much. And yeah, it's just an incredible film. I wish I could say more right now and go in detail, and because this is one that I did write a lot of notes for, but sadly I have to go. But however, what I will do though is this: there's this one. I'm not saying to like watch it on stream or anything, but there was this one review from a YouTuber I like who talked about it, and I would recommend watching it if you guys ever get the chance. Afterwards, I'll post it right here, because he goes into a lot that I also agree with and kind of have similar thoughts of here. So, but yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm sorry, couldn't.
Before you leave, what would be your grade out of 10?
10 out of 10. But yeah, again,
Okay.
this Zone of Interest, All of Us Strangers probably would be my top 3 in that order.
Okay. Well, thank you a lot, Cole, for dropping by. Talk to you next Monday or Tuesday or next time. Anyhow, have a great day. Take care, and we will talk later.
Yep, see ya.
So great. My computer is glitching right now, but let me know, Gray, if you can hear it properly. I will place it near the
sorry.
microphone.
Because I can still hear you, but you're a little frozen on my end.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear it.
4 things. Yorgos Lanthimos is one of the most unique and interesting filmmakers working today, and every new film from him is a full-on cinematic event. My personal favorite of his is The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which revealed Barry Keoghan to the public as the weird little gremlin of an actor we know and love today. Now, Poor Things, which is basically a retelling of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, takes the themes of the original novel and asks what would have happened if the monster had been a woman. The answer? It would have been a quite little object to be used for man's pleasure. And that is where Poor Things becomes very dense thematically, taking a literal woman object created by men for their own benefit and turning our sexuality against them to transform it into our main tool of
Is it still coming clear?
Yes, it sounds awesome. It's just creepy because you're frozen, but other than that,
Yeah.
it's great.
It's also creepy for me because I don't.
Sad. It apparently it was too much for his computer. It might have potatoed out. That's a shame. I'm hoping that he still has the exact moment when Alex's awesome review of it kind of paused there, because yeah, I was liking his interpretation, and I don't disagree. And when he's it looks like we got
where
multi-pack.
most of the comedy of the film comes
Okay,
from.
so guys
Nice.
missed something, right?
Just a little bit. I think I was vamping for about 30 seconds. If it was playing that time, hey, we got
She
you
starts
moving
out
in actual
being
time now.
naive and curious
Yeah.
about her sexuality, and then starts enjoying it, then uses it as a money-making tool before using it as a weapon against the men trying to take advantage of her, which will slowly but surely make them go insane. So Poor Things is a story of emancipation and a big fuck you to the men who see women as playthings. That is where most of the comedy of the film comes from, the misery and suffering of these men. Speaking of, let's talk about the men in the film. They all represent a certain type of abuser. Willem Dafoe is the overprotective father who thinks he's protecting her daughter when he's actually just a very insecure person who thinks that the outside world will steal her from him. He is not protective, he is selfish. Max is the nice guy, in quotation marks, who is acting out of love, but technically fell in love with a 3-year-old in the body of an adult woman, which is technically super creepy. Mark Ruffalo, meanwhile, is an actual manipulator who doesn't care one bit about her and only wants her for sexuality and doesn't really give a shit about whether or not she's happy in the relationship. And finally, we have the ex-husband, an actual psychopath who sees her as property and wants nothing but to lobotomize her so she can become an obedient pet with no agency. Basically, every man she meets along the way gets progressively worse regarding their intentions towards Bella. Now, visually,
There's one thing I disagree with. I feel like the good guy that wanted what's best for Bella, he was a good guy. Like the student, or I don't know. I feel like
candles. No, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, he seems like he doesn't give
Genuinely
a shit
good.
though.
Yeah.
He isn't asking her like what she's interested in. Nobody really gives her agency. The closest one who does is actually her girlfriend from Paris, and then she's the one who comes back at the end and is supporting her. But at no point does he ever ask her like, what would you like, or any of her interests or anything like that. He's documenting what she does, but that's literally his job. And then he's just completely a pushover, at least twice, when she's like, well, I'm going to do this instead. It's like, all right. I don't know that he is necessarily in love with her. Like Alex was mentioning, like in the beginning, when he first declares it, she essentially has like the mind state of like a 3-year-old. Like, I don't know that he really is in love with her. Just he's attracted to her, which is very disturbing.
Yeah, I can see the point. Yeah, I can see it. I can see that, but maybe he likes the idea of innocence. But again, you're right. That's creepy.
film is fucking gorgeous, and taking real cities and turning them into fantasy wonderlands full of strange architecture and beautiful colors. The art direction is pure madness and absolutely gorgeous throughout the whole movie. And the cinematography brings the visual side of the film together with the best use of fisheye lenses I've ever seen. as well as a great use of black and white. Basically, the more Bella learns about the world and matures, the more the screen ratio gets bigger and the more vibrant the colors become. It is brilliant. The cast itself was incredible, especially Emma Stone, who deserves all the praise and awards she's been getting so far. And Mark Ruffalo is at the peak of his acting range, portraying a pathetic, hilarious douchebag with absolute perfection. Honestly, Poor Things and Oppenheimer prove that MCU actors are better off leaving that damn cinematic universe to be able to shine in better films. All of that being said, I do think the film is too long. At 2 hours and 21 minutes, I started feeling the length of the film when the boat sequence started. It does overstay its welcome a bit too much for me, and it is one of those films where you get the point after about 45 minutes of screen time. But it keeps going without really renewing its themes or the way it presents them. That is my main issue with Poor Things. I get it. I get what it's doing, and after 45 minutes, it never really evolves thematically from there, making the rest of the runtime a bit tedious at times, despite the great visuals, acting, and comedy. It is still an excellent film and deserves all the accolades it has been receiving. There is, after all, a reason it is my top of the year after all.
Okay, so thank you a lot, Alex, for your cameo. That was brief but needed. Again, I hope you will heal well, like the healing process, like getting better.
I think it was clear that time.
Yeah, okay. So overall, I do think this is a solid movie I liked. I will give Poor Things a 9.5 out of 10, a well-deserved one, and probably the one of my favorite movie this week. One of my favorite movie in 2023 as well, maybe, but just because I got bad memory and I can't remember the other ones, but I like that one. What about you, Gray? What would be your grade out of 10?
Yeah, it kind of pains me that I'm saying the same thing as you, but yeah, 9.5 out of 10. It was really challenging me. It is one that I've thought about a lot and kind of wondered different interpretations and kind of sought those out. It's more challenging than any other film for me in 2023. It definitely is going to replace one of my top 10. If we had done that today as opposed to yesterday, yeah, I would change one of them. This would be on there. I think this would replace the Guy Ritchie one I was saying. I really do appreciate this. Seeing it again is just, it's gorgeous. It is really a feast for pretty much all the senses. Just, I wish there was a little bit more of a message. I think he's kind of playing a little bit loose with that, and then the porthole thing just kind of takes me out of it. If it weren't for that, I think it'd be a 10 out of 10. That being said, I love what is here. It really is. It's a fun. I don't know if fun is the right word. It definitely challenged me, but visually, it's just so stunning and surreal. It really is amazing. It's definitely one that I'd recommend everyone see. I don't know that it's necessarily going to be for everyone, but damn, I want more movies made like this.
I'm on board with you. I agree with everything you said. So I guess the final topic for this week, Halo Season 2, Episode 5. I will start by saying I do think it's one of the best episodes we got so far. I was more entertained by 4, but I actually like that one a lot, and my issues are bigger nitpicks than usual, so I really needed to tear it apart to have issues with it. So that's me going into it. While I was going into it, what did you think of the Halo Season 2 Episode 5?
I had a completely different experience than you. I just wanted something to happen, and I felt like there was just absolute nothing, and it's just a whole bunch of like, okay, we're going to bury this guy. No, we're not going to bury this guy. Okay, fine. I'm going to participate. No, Spartans don't participate. All right, now I'm participating. Like, I don't know. Just, I feel like it could have been told so much faster and we just could have gotten to something happening. But I don't know. It feels like it was a whole lot of nothing for me. But maybe I'm just kind of over this series and I'm being too harsh on it.
I feel you. I feel you, man. So I guess now we can really get into it. I had issues with it. It's not a masterpiece by any means, but I think it's one of the best episodes nonetheless. So my first issue would be plot armor on Riz. Since everyone shoots but nobody eats, it's her. That's when she wants to really rescue and grab Vanak's buddy from last week. It's like, bruh, like everything blows up. They all shoot, but nobody hits her. It's like, what?
Hey, they hit her right at the end.
At the end, but she had to like to go there and like rambo everyone and then come back with the body and then she get hit. It's like,
Especially when
no.
Spartans aren't supposed to do that. But yeah.
It was just a stretch way too far for me. I wasn't on board at all. It like they want me too much to suspend disbelief, and this is what it takes to me when I don't silence that damn phone. There's stupid things in the background. Anyhow, my next issue would be the lightning was bad when Quan went to bury Vanak. I don't know what's up with this show and lightning. I don't know, guys. Being all dark doesn't mean good. We need to see something, please. It's a movie. It's not like an audiobook. That's my 2 cents of it. Next up would be plot convenience. Bumping into the boy. Oh yeah, that's when they were leaving the house of that was like B plot when they were seeking for the kid, and then she's just turning back and she sees a kid. It's like if they didn't bump into that kid, they would still know or think their kids is still there. But plot convenience, the kid just happens to wander around outside by night. What kid does that, like, especially if she's if the parents are loving, why would the kid just wander around at like by night? It's just not believable at all. Plot convenience, I hate this shit. Next up would be something that mirror what you said. Pacing. An hour long could have been trimmed down to 40 or 50 minutes. I really feel like that episode had no needs to be that long. It's just really sad because I liked a lot of what was going on and I was kind of invested, but I was like, that shit is way too long. 40 minutes, I can bet we get the same story. They just stretch it so long because screen time, because Paramount, because it's the same people that made season 1, I think. I don't know. Now I may sound harsh. I am harsh, but I am honest. Now there's a few things I did like. The action in the opening sequence was cool, even if it was dead stupid. I mentioned action again, so there's another action sequence I liked. Chief talking to Ozzy was entertaining. Cortana and McKee was entertaining. Quan is finally likable. I truly hated her in season 1, but I feel like in this season she seemed and sound more like a character than an idea. I really think they improved on Quan. I still think there's work to be done with her, but now I want to see more of Quan. And in season 1, you remember what I said. I hated Quan so much. So yeah. Next up would be Sorin. As usual, is great. It's also interesting how Sorin's wife wants Sorin to be miserable. It's like, that's weird. Why would you want your boyfriend to be miserable because you're miserable. It's like, can you just let him process the loss his own way? He has every right to process it in a different way than you. But it was interesting that exchange they had where they're like, "Oh, you're not with me at the moment." It sounded so selfish. It's not an issue, but it's like feels like a character trait, and maybe that's a character flaw as well. But it's fine if your character have flaws, so it's not an issue. It's something I enjoyed. Um, Next up would be Riz being crippled, and her conclusion is maybe she should leave the battlefield was cool. I hope they will stick to it. Otherwise, what's the point? The music was cool, and that's all I gotta say. I enjoyed that episode a lot. It's not perfect, but it's one of the best episodes we got so far. So, Gray, any deeper thought you didn't mention? Any other issues outside of pacing?
Yeah, I just thought it was such a plot convenience that this rectangle random ship just shows up like Deus Ex Machina right at the right moment, just so they can all jump in, and then they have time for her to get practically back to Vanek and then practically over to the ship, except for right at the last second she gets shot. I don't know, that felt a little convenient to me. I understand we need to get off this planet so that they can get to their next thing. Fine. I don't know, that was about the most action that happened this whole thing. I don't think we needed them to kind of question the shopkeeper like 3 different times. I think we could have just implied that the shopkeeper is up to no good, perhaps slave trade or something, get it confirmed by the other guys, and then just come back to it. But I don't know. It feels like a lot of what happened was filler. Like it really, everything in here could have happened a little bit quicker. The biggest thing that happens is Riz comes to that decision that she's no longer going to be a part of it. She's going to stay on this world. Fine. I don't know. I guess it's an emotional point, but I end up not caring. Either I'm dead inside or it doesn't matter to me anymore on this. I don't know. It's just not what I want out of Halo. But last episode was pretty decent. I want them to get back to something like that. Sadly, it took them like an entire season to set up to that one part. I think they could have made that so much better and like a 2-part episode, but instead we got this, and I don't know. I was excited to watch this one after the last episode, and now I'm not. I don't care again to watch it this time. This was my low light of the week, but other than that, I don't know. I don't hate any of the actors. It's really just the writing. Like I actually like every one of the actors that's in this. I want more out of the show, I guess. Maybe that's a me problem.
Can they just freaking tell us Al McKee is still alive? And even if they do, I hope it's freaking justified and valid, because I feel like most of the things they could come up with doesn't make any sense. It's just annoying. I hate it. And I want to learn more about that other new guy in charge of UNSC. I want to know if he's a double agent or just a poorly written character.
Well, I think it's all leading up to the whatever it is, like the part 3 group or 3rd gen group or whatever. So I think you'll see him soon, and he'll have new Spartans, the new program.
But I think there's something weird as well. I was like, oh, I just realized Sky is still with him, and she wasn't really fit in season 1 because when she took out her pallet, she kind of went not on the battlefield and such. So I don't know how I should feel about it. Like, is it character progress or growth? And if it is it earned, or just because like it's off screen, it's not really earned and it's just lazy and trash? How do you
Yes.
feel about that?
Your last 2 words kind of
Lazy and trash.
lazy trash. I think that kind of sums it up for me.
So you know what? That will like knock off points in the end. It's sad. It's so sad. You know what? Because of just what I just mentioned, I will knock off points for real. This episode for me is a 7 out of 10. What about you, Dre?
I don't know. I guess there's some moments that didn't suck. Like I was, I guess, a little bit invested in like, okay, is this kid in the like, are these parents not going to give them the kid? Like whatever. And then I feel like the payoff sucked. And then I was kind of invested, like, okay, so is this dude like human trafficking? Does he just have a bunch of slaves? And it's like, oh, they're off planet. Okay. I don't know. I just think all the payoffs weren't there for me. It had some setup, so I guess maybe like a 4, but that's about the best I can give it.
Okay. Well, this ends our weekly Red Blue. Tomorrow, looking forward to talk about Premeditatio. I don't know how to pronounce this.
That's close
Um,
enough.
yeah, I was close enough. So, what do you have going on your end of the internet?
Not much. Looking forward to that podcast tomorrow. That sounds pretty awesome. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So yeah, just like what I mentioned before, spent 3 hours yesterday editing stuff, and right after we go off air, I will keep doing that with season 3. I'm so excited to have that big best moment of the podcast for
You're
our
awesome,
100
man.
episode.
I don't know if I could do that, especially when I hear myself. No, but that's awesome, dude. That's really awesome of you to do that.
We will all hear a lot of roast toward me and DC, and that will be entertaining. I hope it will be a great end product. But that's fun to do, like I got 2 screens moving at 1.5 speed and I just record. So yeah. Anyhow, on my end, outside of that, gaming streams this week if I get the time, because I still have a bunch of movies to watch. Man, we don't have enough time in the day, like 24 hours is not enough. We need like 30 hours a day. Even there, it's not enough because we gotta sleep, right? This marks the end of this week. Thank you for watching, everyone, and we will be done for tonight.